Brilliant. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to KUMBTV. We are live for this lunchtime's big Premier League clash between two of the top flight's most informed teams, Manchester City and West Ham United. I'm delighted to be joined by the regular team today. That's Gnome and Rio. And is that a fireman's hat, Pinky, today? Or what is that exactly?
Builder's hat.
A builder's hat. A builder's hat.
Yeah. When you play Man City, you need all the PPE you can get. Because I tell you what, we're in for a tough one today.
Yeah, I no doubt we certainly will be. We'll come to that in just a moment. Before we do that, we are going to, as usual, go over to Gnome, who is going to take us through today's teams. Gnome, over to you.
Yep, major shock for West Ham. Fabianski has not made the team. We're presuming injury, obviously, but I've yet to hear exactly what the problem is. May have been quite a late call because we do have two goalkeepers also on the bench. So we line up as follows: Randolph, Diop, Dawson, Cresswell, Soufal, Soucek, Rice, Johnson, Fornal, Lingard and Antonio. And on the bench, we have Balbuena, Benrahma, Lanzini, Noble, Bowen, Martin, Trott and Odubeko. The hosts, lots of changes for them. Lots of. I mean, their bench is frightening enough, I think. But anyway, they line up as follows: Edison, Walker, Stones, Ruben Diaz, Zinchenko, De Bruyne, Fernandinho, Gundogan, Mahrez, Aguero and Torres. Just look at the names on their bench. There's Sterling, Gabriel Jesus, Stefan Laporte, Rodri, Bernardo Silva, Mendy, Cancelo and Foden. Referee this afternoon is Michael Oliver. There you go. That's where we are.
Yeah, still slightly shell-shocked by looking at that Man City team, and I'm not quite sure actually, Rio, looking at that, if the stronger team is starting the match or on the bench this afternoon.
It's a tough call, you got to admit it. I'd like to point out that City have also got two keepers on the bench to match us. They've gone like for like, because we all know that Jesus saves as well. Get in early.
Coming in early.
But yeah, it's a frightening prospect. You've got to admit, it's terrifying in actual effect. I'm just hoping. Well, I'm thinking, looking at our lineup, we're kind of going to double up, trying to squeeze them inside a little bit, and we're playing like three at the back, two wing backs. Really make it difficult for them and work them hard in midfield because, let's be honest, their quality can kill you. And with the stuff they've got on their bench as a possible replacements, it's going to be a long old afternoon. Pinky's got the old builders out on. I've got the requisite music T-shirts to match the occasion. So I'm not expecting a very long, tough afternoon.
Rio, we're a little bit closer in than we might usually be with your stream today. What are we wearing today? I can't quite see it right now.
I've got the Ramones on. Right, and we all know that Ramones are famous for opening their tracks with 1, 2, 3, 4, which is like what Manchester City normally score against us in the first half hour. Yeah, it's going to be fast, frenetic, and in your face, which the Ramones used to specialise in. Very
good indeed. Pinky, resplendent in the West Ham hat, expecting an avalanche of goals today from the opponents, or could we just, pull off a bit of a surprise here this afternoon?
I think if you speak to any of the professionals in any sport, but certainly in football, and ask them about when they're facing a superior opponent, most of them will say they're the moments you live for. You really want to test yourself against the very best. So you can imagine how excited Man City players were last night, realising they were facing West Ham United today, because they're up against the very best this afternoon, and City will have to be at their best to see us off. So any citizens tuning into this, let's get that out of the way, yeah? You ain't the all singing, all dancing City, and that's the poor relations. what you've got today are the two form teams in the Premier League.
Yep.
We're up there by right. So I'm not expecting us to roll over. I'm not expecting us to collapse. Having said that, if we took a point today, I'll be happy with it, because the sheer firepower that Man City have got, and we've already touched on it there with the bench and so forth, they can score a lot of goals. But just ahead of the game, I was reading some stuff this morning. It's only a little more than a dozen, 15 years ago that they were conceding plenty of goals as well. Yeah. So 8 goals against Middlesbrough, and they'll have plenty of supporters who remember those days. And I think one of the attractions of Man City to our sort of support is, for all the success, I don't think they've ever got completely carried away with it. I think they've kept their feet firmly on the ground, and certainly reading their website, Blue Moon, today, sensible comments, nothing rubbing people's noses in it or anything like that. So they're actually expecting quite a good game today. I'm expecting a good game today. City will probably just shade it because of the firepower, but you never know. You never know.
No, exactly. We shall see, of course, what happens very soon. The game about 18 minutes away. Manchester City versus West Ham United. No, Pinky touched on the fact that the City fans were, being reasonably complimentary towards West Ham there on the Blue Moon Forum. Now, of course, there is a sort of a certain kinship between the two sets of fans, which we certainly don't enjoy with the other lot of Manchester. But perhaps you want to tell people a little bit about that. I mean, I think it really goes back to a game at Upton Park when we sent them down in the mid to late 80s, 87, something like that.
87, yeah.
And sort of, there's been a kind of strange sort of friendship between the two sets of fans since then.
Yeah, I think, and I may be being slightly cynical here, but I think that the fact that Manchester City, they kind of benefit from a bit of goodwill and good feeling from us, partly on the grounds that they're not Man United. And there's kind of a sort of, it's almost my enemy's enemy is my friend type thing. But yeah, I can't remember the full details of that game. I remember being there, and did we actually send them down, or were they sort of going down? But we kind of sympathised with them, and there was the people on the pitch sort of applauding each other, and it kind of that sort of shared kinship never really went away, despite the fact that they're now sort of sort of awash with petrodollars, shall we say? I mean, the other thing, of course, is that back in other days when we're actually at the ground and things like that, we only see them once a year at our place and once a year at theirs, whereas their neighbours, you bump into them walking down the street half the time around here. So do you want to come back to me? I'm just going to try and find out. I may be getting something about Fabianski in.
Yes, it will be good to figure out what's going on there for those who are just tuning in and might not have seen the teams already. Lucas Fabianski is a very late admission from the team. His spot in the starting lineup taken by Darren Randolph. Now, of course, Rio, we've expressed concern about Randolph before in the past, stating that he's perhaps not the greatest goalkeeper, whereas, with regards to crosses, but as Pinky and I were sort of mentioning just before the game, you sort of don't expect Man City to be slinging in 100 crosses every game. They're the sort of team that tend to play through the middle and try and work their way into the box, rather than rely on an aerial threat. So hopefully that will sort of negate that to some degree. But what's your thoughts on that, Randolph, coming into this game?
Yeah, well, I think you summed it up perfectly. It's not the kind of game you actually terrify for him, because he hasn't going to come and dominate the area. He hasn't going to come out for every single cross. Then Man City never, ever sling crosses into the box in the way that the likes of 99% of the clubs and the rest of the league do. And he's a decent shot stopper, And before his return, he was performing admirably well in the Championship. He was the goalkeeper of the season down there. We all know his frailties and where he lacks in his goalkeeping skills.
Yeah.
But shot stopping isn't one of them. And you know, he's done an admirable job. And let's face it, when we went up to Anfield and won that famous 3-0 victory, Flappy Dash was in goal.
That's a good point.
So
it's a really good point. Yeah.
There's every reason to a little bit of optimism.
Right.
It's just, you always feel a bit more reassured with Fabianski because he's the complete package. Randolph is a sum of the parts, not the complete custodian that we can really rely on in every aspect of the game.
Yeah, very much so. I think Noam's just listening to David
Yeah.
Moyes now. Is he finished now, Noam?
Yeah, I have the information. He got his arm got stood on in training yesterday, and it's swollen right up, and he's unable to extend his arm at the moment. So looks a bit battered and bruised. So big blow, but as you say, Randolph's come in. They're just showing the stat. He's actually his one Premier League appearance was the win up at Everton. So you know he's got 100% clean sheet record. So yeah, reasons to be cheerful and optimistic. So that's the reasoning. Obviously, there was going to be an injury, but it obviously didn't respond to any treatment overnight, and that's why we are where we are.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Thank you. First with the news. There you go on KUMBTV. Fabianski out. Pinky, you were kind of nodding your head a little bit there.
Yeah,
was that about Randolph or Fabianski?
Well, about the pair of them. I just think we're so confident today. We've actually rotated the keepers. You know, I mean, why would we need our best keeper in goal today when, lads, it's only Man City. You know, I mean, let's not make this lot out to be Brazil 1970, because frankly I think they're better than that. If I'm being honest, if we've got any doubt at all today, I think maybe Pep's been a little kind to us today, because you look at that bench. I mean, Phil Foden gets in the starting 11 of every other team in the country. Full stop.
Yep.
And he's not playing today. He's on the bench. Sterling, ditto, on the bench. Yeah. So, Guardiola can send his lot out there today and say, right, if you lot don't get a couple of goals, I've got 3 or 4 players on the bench who will. Mm-hmm. So if you want to play, get some goals today. Aguero, their club record scorer. I mean, how West Ham is it that he's been missing since October, but he's managed to get fit against West Ham United? This is peak West Ham, isn't it?
It certainly is.
Supported by a training ground injury to our first choice keeper. Because, thank God for that. We're only playing Man City tomorrow. Why on earth would we need Fabianski, kind of thing? But the point about not facing a team that slings a lot of crosses in a strange way, having Randolph between the sticks today might actually benefit us, because it could well be that a shot stopper is what we need today, rather than a cross collector. And I think at the other end of the pitch, let's put our positive heads on here. The fact that we've got a bit more aerial presence from set pieces than I think Man City have got the capability of defending might just work in our favour, because it's all well and good being super clever Pep and playing a team that will make 1,000 passes in a game, and take routine and all the rest of it. Mm-hmm. Occasionally you've got to defend a corner kick. Occasionally you've got to defend a free kick that goes into your box. And do you think they're looking forward to Thomas Souček getting on the end of something today? Mikel Antonio, Craig Dawson? We can score goals as well. Mm-hmm. So for me today, we're not going to have the bulk of possession. City at halftime, they'll put a stat up. It'll be Man City have got 80% of the ball. There you go. There's another exclusive. 45 minutes before BT will tell you it, Man City will have 80% of the ball in the first half. But it only takes a second to score a goal. And just for a moment, if we can work a set piece somewhere near their goal, we've got a chance here. So, it ain't over.
No, exactly. Long way to go. 90 minutes, just about, plus whatever time will be added on, of course. Rio, do you see this being one of those typically defensive Moyes setups? We saw something very similar, I think, didn't we, at Old Trafford a few weeks ago in the Cup, where, Manchester United dominated possession, but, we sat firm. And, of course, we after 90 minutes, we'd held them to a goalless draw, and it was only a goal in added on time that knocked us out of the Cup. Is that sort of what you're expecting this afternoon, as Pinky's alluded to there?
Yeah, pretty much so. I just think there's a little bit more scope to go forward. We've got Fornals and Lingard, who can link up quite well with the between midfield and attack. Yeah. If we get the ball out to them, we can cause problems. I'm expecting to be under the cost for most, if not 99% of this game. But, Manchester City won 19 games on a bounce. Surely that can't continue. Sorry, Manchester City, not Manchester United. They've won 19 games in a bounce. That's got to end at some point. And as well as they're playing, every now and then you get these little blips. And we've got the players at our disposal who can hurt teams. I mean, we didn't play particularly well last week against Tottenham. Yeah. In fact, you can say the last half hour or so, we was pretty awful. We was under the cost beyond belief. But we walked away with a 2-1 victory. And when we did go forward, we looked quite threatening. It's a different calibre of opposition, obviously, but never say never.
Yeah, right as well. No, one player not involved in the West Ham starting lineup today is Jared Bowen. Now, it's not often that he doesn't get a start in the team. Do you think that's just tactical, or do you think, Moyes has sort of decided that he's... Well, I suppose it's all tactical, whichever way you look at it, isn't it? But what do you put that down to anyway? His mission from the starting team.
Tactical, or is it to do with tactics?
Exactly.
I think he's playing the opposition here, isn't he? He's looking at where we need. Bowen, for all his strengths and all that, is more an attacking player, and. I think that the way we're going to line up, I just think that the 11 out there are more suited for this game without Bowen. Simple as that, really. I don't think there's any anything personal or anything like that. It's just we're playing Man City. I think Fredericks might have been in. I understand his absence is a groin problem.
Yeah.
I think Fredericks might have been in instead of perhaps Johnson on that side. We'll have to see how that goes. He's on the bench, one of the non-goalkeeping contingent that we've got on the bench there. And it's going to be a tough one. I think for me, what I want to see today is not the way we played against Liverpool. Yeah, we might have to sit back and defend, but against Liverpool, for me, we looked like we were beaten the second we stepped on the pitch. Yeah, we didn't think we could get anything out of this. Whereas today, I want if Manchester City beat us, which I think the odds are going to be in that direction. I want to see them walking off the pitch thinking, bloody hell, that was hard. That we've really stretched them and given them a game. Yeah. Whereas Liverpool, I just figured that we went on the pitch thinking we're going to lose this anyway. Yeah. And so today's more about the performance than the result. And if we get both, obviously, I'll be over the moon. But
yeah. We'd certainly take that, wouldn't we? I mean, I guess no one person would be keen, perhaps more keen than anyone else to get a result here today, would be our on-loan attacking midfielder, Jesse Lingard. Of course, plays for the other lot across the city. Normally, I'm sure there'll be a lot of Reds backing him to do well at the Etihad this afternoon.
Well, I guess this is one of those little football stories that could be sort of pre-written. How would it be that we turn around and we nick a 1-0 up here and Lingard's the scorer. That would be. It's one of those things that you think is so unlikely, but happens so often in football, isn't it? Yeah.
It is.
So you've got commentators going, "Oh, it had to be, didn't it?" or something like that. So, whether or not players also scoring against their old teams is another one, which whether or not that's more prevalent than you think, I don't know. It's just you notice it when it happens. So,
we certainly do.
Yeah, I mean, he's been superb for us since he came in, and it's as I say, he's playing with a smile on his face, and I think the biggest grin in the world you're going to get is if he were to score today. I must say I'm glad Pinky's taken that hat off, because I was just feeling like I was part of the world's worst village people tribute act for a bit, looking at the four of us on there.
I'll dig the fake handlebar moustache out the cupboard for the second half. Then, in that case, Pinky,
I'd say he's a young man. Yeah,
listen, village people aside, Pinky, we touched on Pep Guardiola a few moments ago. Now, of course, he's been very complimentary towards David Moyes in his comments this week, speaking during his pre-match press conference yesterday, talking about West Ham. He said they're in a Champions League position. This is not just a good run. It is over many months, and they are there on merit, and it shows just how strong they are. Talking about Moyes, he said he'd like to have a career for many years like Moyes and have the same passion to do the job. He cannot forget his first game in the Premier League was against Sunderland, and Moyes was the manager there at the time. Pep saying that Moyes was so kind to me, he gave me some advice about the Premier League. Then also, interestingly, he mentioned that he had a lot of West Ham supporting friends and gave a little come on you irons, didn't he, during his press conference? Did you happen to see that? Very, very strange.
Yeah, I did. And you can understand why he's got a lot of West Ham United supporting friends, because we are massive. Okay, insert your own word in front of the word massive. You know what I'm on about there.
Yeah.
In terms of his comments about David Moyes, I mean, it's nice of him to say those things, I'm sure. But in a professional capacity, you can afford to be nice to people you don't fear. It's that simple. So it's kind of like, I'm sure he was being sincere, but actually, if he thought he was up against a genuine rival in terms of what David Moyes can stick on the pitch today, I'm not talking about David Moyes' ability, manager, or their own sort of personal relationship, but he clearly doesn't fear West Ham today. And that's why he could afford to be generous to our manager. And again, it's nice for Pep to say that, but just to remind City fans, because they are the supporters that voted Richard Dunn 4 times City Player of the Year, 4 consecutive years. Vincent Kompany, the much lauded captain, title-winning captain, only once. So they can judge a good player, can City fans, that's for certain. But they've been down there as well, and in fairness to them, when we played them in Iceland on a pre-season tour a couple of years ago, we had a good chat with some City fans in the boozer, all decent fellas, and they said one of the things, having sort of all the riches in the world and a squad the likes of which world football's never seen, is the pressure to win every single game. They said, it pervades the whole club. It's not an expectation of winning every game. They feel the pressure of having to win every single game. And it's almost like a 3-0 win isn't enough against a lot of teams. They're coming away from games, and supporters say, well, really should be doing better against that team. Not in an arrogant way, but in a kind of like, they understand that what they are looking at week in, week out is a team that only a sovereign wealth fund can put on the pitch. So at least the City supporters know what they're looking at, and most of them, in fairness, accept it with good grace and go, do you know what, we're lucky. We're really lucky. David Moyes today, you look at the cost of the team he's putting out there, it just bears no comparison at all. I mean, there's no comparison. But the manager of Rochdale is probably looking at David Moyes going, God, I wish I had £5 million to spend on a fullback, wow, 5 million on a defender. So it's all relative. Nice of Guardiola, but in reality, what he's really saying is, I don't fear your team.
Yeah, such a thing. Was it? Who was it? It wasn't Paisley, was it? It was his predecessor who said made that famous statement about West Ham. I think, nice team, nice football, 2 points. Shankly, wasn't it? Not
Shankly,
Paisley.
yeah.
Shankly who said that. So
it's an interesting point you make there, Pinky. It's you don't ever hear Pep Guardiola going on about what a great bloke Klopp is. 2 reasons for that. One, he's not, and secondly, the reason you said it's Moyes is not seen as a threat.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. Anyway, gentlemen, we're just about to get underway. Before we do that, we need some predictions from you very, very quickly. Let's go round the table. Pinky, what do you reckon?
5-0 West Ham, nailed on.
5-0 West Ham.
All right, be serious.
What about the second half?
A 1-1 draw.
1-1 draw. 1-1. Rio, what about you?
I'm going to go for my usual pessimistic 3-1 defeat.
3-1 says Rio to Man City. No.
I'll go 2-1 defeat.
2-1 defeat. All right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go for a West Ham win.
Yeah,
as nobody else has. I've got absolutely no chance of it coming right, I expect, but I'll go for a 2-1 West Ham win out of 2016 and hoping that our Lingard will be our Moses this afternoon. The players are taking the knee as we speak. Pinky, we're going to come in there.
Right.
We've started, okay.
Yeah, do you want to do a time check?
Let's do that.
I'm on 48, 49, 50 seconds.
I'm a second in front of no.
I'm still taking a knee.
And I'm switching channels to see if I can get a more up-to-date stream on NBC than my live BT Sports stream. 51 seconds I'm on, so I'm probably not as far behind as we were a little while ago. But anyway, the match is underway. It's Manchester City versus West Ham United, the two informed teams in the Premier League in 2021, taken more points than any other side so far. I was going to ask, actually, Rio, looking at Man City's team, we normally ask who the greatest threat is from the opposition. I think the question this week needs to be who is not the threat as far as the Man City team is concerned, because looking through that team, it's there's danger coming from every angle, isn't there?
Yeah, I think Ederson's the weak link in this team. There's no chance of him getting a goal today.
He's racked up a few assists, though, hasn't he?
Yes.
50% clean sheet record.
Wow. Amazing. But anyone there, Rio, you think that West Ham can perhaps exploit, is there any weaknesses in that City side?
I still think they never know who their best defensive setup is. And until recently, it's been constant rotating, revolving door of who they're going to pick at the back. They've obviously settled down recently in the last few weeks, but because they're so good going forward, defence, despite the fact they spend an absolute fortune on it, isn't their strongest point at the time. So we just need to be a little bit clever. And I think if we get a couple of set pieces and we hit the mark that we've been doing all season in terms of accuracy and effectiveness from set pieces, we could cause a few problems there. Okay,
well, we've managed to come through the first 2 minutes unscathed. I get the feeling it's going to be that sort of afternoon. We did mention, Noam, that Man City are looking for a 20th successive win in all competitions today. The record, I understand, in the top 5 European leagues is 24. So, we sort of said at the start it was all set up for, West Ham missing their goalkeeper, Man City resting all their best players, Aguero coming back into the side. Could it be the other way round? Could it be actually set up for a famous away win, given all these statistics that seem to be going against
You never know your luck. We just had a glimpse of maybe the sort of way that this might happen. Manchester City, they're trying to go forward now, but that's going to roll out for a goal kick. Well played, super. Manchester City the game has settled down into lots of Manchester City possession. And they tried a couple of very quick passes in between the lines. However, I think it might have been Dawson just intercepted. And 3 or 4 passes later, we had it didn't quite run for Antonio, and there's a deflection that may have taken it into his path. But as we're actually moving on the attack now, But if we can attack them on the break fairly quickly, we've got the ball in the moment. Crossfield ball goes to Johnson, who's laid it back towards Cresswell, but misplaced it. Cresswell picks it up, but we're in good position there. So I think that might be our way forward. If we can get them very quickly on the break, there was just a little glimpse there of something that might be. So something to watch out for there.
Yeah, no. Where are you on your time exactly right now? Just so I can work out.
4:42, 3, 4.
Okay, so I'm about 18 seconds behind you, which is pretty good. Quickly before we move on, some predictions from the team on YouTube, the KUMB, the Comers, joining us on the stream. Xander goes for a 2-2 draw, and Richard Van going for a 1-1 draw. Hobo predicting a 3-0 Manchester City win. Medellin Hammer 2-0 defeat. But hey, what about this? Steve Page says, "Hey lads, I dreamt of a 1-0 victory, which finished with us down to 9 men. I will settle for that." Now that would be something else, Steve. But let's see. We'll take that, wouldn't we? We'd certainly take it. 5 minutes gone. Manchester City 0, West Ham United 0. Pinky, looking at what we've seen so far tactically, what are you noticing from the the first few minutes here?
It's all as expected. I mean, Man City are going to go with their standard, pass the opposition to death. I mean, Ed there has just played a pass that Sam Allardyce, even if he's not watching, would actually have a heart attack on. He's passed it to his own player, on the edge of the box with one of our lads steaming in behind him. I mean, it's just. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't care how many titles Pep Guardiola's won.
Yep.
You're coaching your players to do that. You're completely and utterly bonkers. I'm sorry, I'm not having it any other way. And maybe that could be their undoing today, because do you know what? I don't think they do it out of arrogance. I think they believe that's how you play the game and win matches. But it is a high risk strategy, and maybe a player like Antonio can just sneak in onto something there and grab it. But tactically, it's City, pass and move. Forget the shape, because do you know what? They're all over the place. Yeah. This is your classic, total football that you're watching here today. And their movement is beyond belief. It is a joy to watch. But we're not a pub team. And I can tell you, on Blue Moon, there are 5.6% of their supporters who have actually gone for a West Ham win today.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that is impressive.
5.1%, sorry. Yeah, I've gone for a West Ham win today. So,
do you think there's about 5% of their supporters put an opposition win every week? Just
I think
once in the proverbial blue moon, they can say, "I told you so."
I think it reflects maybe the pharmacology problem that City has, should we say? I think most of those would be people that would have been hanging around the hacienda back in the day, should we say? I mean, 84% have gone for a City win, in fairness. So, they're expecting a win, but I think they'll have to work quite hard for it today.
Top one, nice one, gets sorted. 5% of City fans going for a West Ham win. We'll take that. A couple other predictions, couple more. Polaroid going for a 2-1 win to West Ham. David O'Rourke, going for the same scoreline, but the other way round with a Man City win. Just interesting, I think, Rio, just looking at that one example we had there that Pinky was talking about. It's interesting, notable to me, how advanced West Ham were when Manchester City had the ball in their own penalty area. Suchek and a couple of others pushing right up to, they call it a high press these days, don't they? That's the trendy term. It used to be called closing the opposition down. Defending from the front, whatever. But interesting to note that West Ham aren't sitting off City and affording them, a lot of room even at the back.
No, it's the best thing to do. I mean, as I said, City's back line have got a mistake in them. They're not infallible, and playing high press, getting in their faces, making life uncomfortable is only going to exacerbate matters at the back for them. And a little bit of pressure on their passing will do us the world of good. There's an interesting stat before the game on BT Sports that said the most chances created by us in the Premier League this season have come from both Cresswell and Soufal, sorry. Keep doing that. So with Cresswell playing in the back three, we're almost negating a little bit of our attacking threat in a way. But I think it was, Cresswell had 26 created chances and Soufal 24.
Wow.
So it completely outshone all of our midfield.
Mm-hmm. It says a lot for the way the team are lining up,
Oh,
of course.
unlucky.
No?
Yeah, sorry, Fornell's nearly picked out a pass that would have seen Soufal free down the right wing, but it was spotted. I think it was Zinchenko blocked it out as free kick to Manchester City. Is there anything in that? Soufal was judged for fouled. I couldn't see really anything what was happening there, but as is Manchester City's want, they haven't slung it into the box. Ball's back in their half now as they rack up another week or two of possession.
Yeah, we've survived the opening 10 minutes. It's all going well so far. Neither side, I don't think, has tested the other team's goalkeeper yet, so that's all good. But of course, a long way to go yet. One thing interesting, perhaps, Pinky, that's been pointed out on the social media is how Michail Antonio seems to be tucking in on the left-hand side when we're not in possession. What do you make of that? Why do you think that is?
I've absolutely no idea, but what I will tell you is, had our travelling support been up there today, the benchmark for the point at which we start chanting "Olé" in possession would be 3 passes. Okay, so you know,
in total, not consecutive.
Yeah, 3 consecutive passes, we would be starting the Olés, because you know the problem with this Man City team is, and the reason they don't concede that many goals is because they just never let the opposition have the ball. I mean, it's that simple, you know, and it's classic Guardiola possession-based football. Hang on to it, you know, bore the opposition into submission by passing the ball 300 or 400 times, and then in a split second converting it into attack to get the goal. But all the time you've got the ball, the opposition can't hurt you. And
oh, superb, Lingard.
Simple.
We've just seen a Manchester City free kick, no?
Yeah, terrible free kick from De Bruyne, and that's something you don't say very much. Just a few seconds after that, Graham, if you're catching up, you just saw Lingard come from the wrong side to make a superb tackle. Manchester City still have the ball, but it's an indication of how hard our attacking players are going to have to work, not just in their attacking mode.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of the features of this season is they've been doing that.
Yeah, very good. But yes, I did.
Now looking dangerous. Oh, some great blocking defending there. As De Bruyne put the ball in, and it's come to an end as Aguero's handled the ball. So, yeah, there was a bit of a burst into the box from De Bruyne there. We've just seen the Aguero handball again. Yeah, he has the ball trapped between his thigh and his arm there. Just watching this burst into the box again. Yeah, De Bruyne just runs between 2 players, squares it back, and that will be Torres. He's in a good position to get a shot in, but he's blocked by 2 West Ham players. And yeah.
Interesting to note then, actually, that sorry, I was just going to say that when that ball came across, and just before the handball, interesting to note how they were doubling up on him there, Cresswell and Johnson, both making sure they was nothing undue was going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, we did allow De Bruyne, when that ball was pulled back to him, he was in quite a lot of space on his own there, and to make that dash into the box. The 2 players that got nearest him, there was a gap between them that the proverbial bus could have been driven through, and of course De Bruyne doesn't need a second asking of that.
The stats so far, we are just coming up to 14 minutes play. Manchester City 72% possession, Pinky called it before the game, West Ham 28. But most importantly, looking in the rest of the column, shots, Man City 0, West Ham 0. Corners, Man City 0, West Ham 0. So, you know, the only important stats really that Man City, looking for a 20th successive win in all competitions, have failed to have a shot on goal in the opening 14 minutes. And, you know, as we said, Pinky, this really is one of those games where we're looking at it minute by minute, isn't it? And just sort of enjoying every moment that we can keep City at bay, because this is, you know, this is a world-class team we're playing this afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I joked earlier about, you know, Brazil 1970 and all the rest of it. You know, in club football, you won't see a team or a squad better than Man City have got. You know, just the fact that you know the players have left on the bench today. You know, of the 9 on their bench, 7 of them definitely would get starting points in any other Premier League's team first 11. That's how strong they are, and that's what being backed by a sovereign wealth fund does for you. But at the same time, yeah, you know, looking at what they do, yes, they've got lots of possession, huge amounts of it. But we saw this against Tottenham Hotspur, whereby, you know, they were reduced to taking quite a lot of long shots, pop shots from distance, to the point where genuine goal-scoring opportunities were relatively few. And that tells me that somewhere between our defence and our defensive midfield, we're actually working incredibly hard as a team to deny opponents. And that's what we're really seeing here today. City will have to be somewhere near their best today to get the win. And you know, all you can do when you're up against superior opponents is just make them work really, really hard for it. Give them nothing. Don't make individual errors. Don't stop tracking your man. You know, just work all afternoon. And if they get the goal, well, fine. But I said it a quarter of an hour ago. We need one opportunity near their box for a set piece. And purists might say, well, that's not the West Ham way and all the rest of it. You've got to be realistic. We're not going to see the ball this afternoon. It just isn't going to happen. The opposition are too damn good. It's that simple.
Well, West Ham doing a really good job so far. 16.5 minutes gone. It's still 0-0. Manchester City only had one shot so far this afternoon. West Ham working incredibly hard, Rio, to keep City at bay. We're seeing Jesse Lingard drop into the centre of a 4 or 5 when City have the ball. Pablo Fornal's, working incredibly hard on the right-hand side. We've seen Dawson stepping out of the back line to, when that ball's played in between the two lines, you've got Diop as well, as Dawson stepping out to sort of, perhaps sort of offer, an extra body in there. Can we keep it up for 90 minutes, I guess, is the question, because it's going to be a long, long afternoon.
It's going to be an absolutely tough ask because, again, look at who Man City are going to bench, who they can bring on. The pace of Sterling, the likes of Jesus. It's going to be a massive ask, but the signs so far are pretty good. Well, we've defended quite well, been compact. The only thing I would like to say is that in a couple of minutes ago, I'm obviously a minute behind everyone else here.
Yeah.
We won the ball, played some really nice football, but Souček put a really sloppy pass in. We can't afford to do that. When we do get the ball, we've got to use it to the best of our ability at all times.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely an afternoon where opportunities are going to be at a premium, and a bit like as I said, we mentioned the Manchester United game, didn't we, Noam, before kickoff, and it's sort of turning into a very similar sort of game so far. Though this is obviously an even better side than the Red Devils.
Hang on, got a shot in, and it's headed back. Antonio's up. It's wobbling around in the box. Lingard gets another shot in. We've caused. That's probably the closest anyone's come to a goal. Some promising possession from West Ham, and I'm looking at the replay to pick the bones out. It's a lovely ball in from Cresswell to Lingard, who got some space there. Shot gets a deflection. Souček heads across the goal. Keeper bravely saves from Antonio, and then Lingard comes in and gets a shot in from the left, which is blocked out for a throw-in. So that's good goalkeeping. Antonio might have done a bit better to try and get the header in, but promising stuff there. That's Antonio.
Whoever's covering it for the Romford Recorder can now faithfully say Edison has been the busier of the two keepers so far in the first half.
We can genuinely say that, yeah.
And also, of course, I believe those efforts from Antonio Lingard means West Ham are winning in the terms of shots taken so far, Colin, by 2-1. So, yeah, I guess we'll take that. But no, on a serious note, Pinky, looking at that, it does sort of suggest that, you know, we're a confident bunch these days. David Moyes has said all along, you know, he keeps saying it this week. All his players are you know, singing from the same hymn sheet in terms of not looking ahead too far, just taking one game at a time. But Moyes has constantly been talking the players up, telling them that they can be even better, that they deserve to be there where they are. And I think it's showing, isn't it, so far?
Oh, yeah, and everything he said there is true, because the players do deserve to be where they are.
Yep.
The team does deserve to be where it is in the league table, because as we get told season after season, usually by the teams that win it, that the league table doesn't lie. Well, there you go. You know, we'll take that after 25 games. It's, you know, it's must be true, and it is true. You know, we have picked up, as you know, other than City, more points this year than anybody else. It's that simple. So we are a form team in the Premier League, and for all of Guardiola's confidence in the way he's managed to rotate his team there, Moyes' secret this season has been a relatively settled team, relatively settled. You know, and when he has had to make changes, he's managed to do it without disrupting the rhythm of the team. And, you know, we're not a pub team. We look confident on the ball, comfortable at the back. Yeah, I don't see a 5-0 drubbing coming here that we've had in recent years at the Etihad. I mean, season we went up there, I think it was the League Cup semi-final. We've just been done away at Forest, I think, by their kids and against our kids. And the press photographers of the Etihad, in the first half, they were all behind our goal. Okay. And in the second half, they all changed ends. Every single photographer. Yeah. So they knew then that actually it's pointless splitting it and saying, oh, some will be behind City's goal, some behind West Ham. At that time, none of them expected anything other than a West Ham drubbing. I bet there were match photographers there today, they'd be a bit more evenly spaced out.
Yeah, very much so, very much so. We're pretty much halfway through the first half. It's Manchester City 0, West Ham United 0 so far. The Hammers working strongly to keep City at bay as things stand. And Rio, an interesting point there. We just saw Kevin De Bruyne play a ball through into the box that just ran out of play. And you know, if anything, that's another indication of just how difficult that Guardiola's team are finding it to sort of break through this really, really resolute and strong West Ham defence so far.
Yeah, definitely. It's tantamount to the way that Moyes has got his team working hard for each other. If you could deny City space and cause a little bit of panic in their minds, you know, they're going to be a little bit lax in their passes. They're going to try a little bit something that doesn't quite come off. And we can pick these off and kind of break forwards, you know. As Pinky said, it is tantamount to the belief and the hard work that Moyes has instilled in this side. Not so long ago that we would have been 3 or 4-0 down by now and all looking at each other going, what time can we go home?
Yeah, very much so. Rio, we're going to jump into the KUMB.com forum match thread in just a moment, just to see what people are saying so far. No doubt everyone else is reasonably happy with West Ham's start. Knowing the fact that, you know, we haven't had lots of oohs and ahs from Gnome Towers so far, suggests that the Hammers have done a really good job so far.
Yeah, so just watching, we just earned ourselves a goal kick. Some good work from Soufal to prevent the cross, but also get the ball off the Man City player there. Yeah, I mean, what's interesting is a couple of times you might have heard me go, oh, yeah, where after sort of like 5-10 minutes of Manchester City sort of building up the pressure, somebody will stick a foot in, maybe Declan. As Manchester City now get a free kick in a day position, and the long pass that's seen Antonio Lingard running, it's just been a foot too short.
Yeah.
The free kick Man City had in a dangerous position. They've taken it short, but they're now building up again on the edge of our box. But again, we get the foot in, and we bring it away with Antonio, who's looking for a bit of help there and needs it. He's surrounded out, but I think which way they've given that. I think they've given that our way, which could have gone either. I think, yeah. So it's a case if you get just one of those balls through, you've got a chance because Manchester City, they attack with 10 and defend with 10 in front of the keeper.
Yeah, actually, I was just watching it as you were talking there, and really interesting to note that when just after that free kick was taken, you had 5 West Ham defenders lined up sort of 15, 16 yards from goal. And then there was a further 3 around the perimeter of the D. So very, very tight in and around that central area where City like to exploit, space so much.
Played son.
But so far, it's all going very well for the Hammers. No.
Yeah, just Antonio, the ball got played up to him with his back to goal in our half. And he held on marvellously. Just the ball, he had Johnson out on our left wing to play it to. He just couldn't quite get the ball to find him. But he did very well up to that point. And I think that's... No, he managed to keep it in. But, yeah, I mean, I'd like to see us hold on to the ball a little bit better. It is very difficult because one of the things you notice is somebody's on a ball, they'll look up and there'll be virtually no options for them because Manchester City press and mark so well in that sort of situation. And it'll go to the one option that's free. And within seconds, he'll have a Manchester City player bearing down on him. And that's their game. They've got somebody on everyone.
Yeah. 26 minutes gone. Sorry,
does superbly well out there, and Souček brings it away again. Antonio with his back to the ball, and this is good football from West Ham.
There it is.
We've got Lingard on the ball. Plays it out to Johnson out on the left wing. It away. It was good football up to that point. I'd like to have seen that ball played out of Johnson a little bit earlier because by the time it got out to him, City were back. But there was good work there from Antonio holding the ball up, bringing Souček in, bringing Lingard in. But it's just then it seemed to stall a bit where Johnson was in acres of space on that left wing. As what I was saying earlier on, we need to be quick on the break like that because they do get back so quickly.
Yeah, a couple of stray passes from young Ben Johnson so far, but all in all, a great start here for West Ham. Jesse Lingard gliding effortlessly over the pitch there, Pinky. Looking oozing class. I notice he looks like he's had a haircut. I wonder where he's had that done.
Well, I've been doing my own, so maybe Jesse does his own. But, the player that I've just been looking at this afternoon for us is Randolph. And I kind of feel that, he's got a future in a Thin Lizzy tribute band. I mean, honestly, if he could play the bass guitar, I'll tell you something about that in a minute. Phil Lynott would look today,
To be yellow.
There you go. No, we've got our first booking of the day.
Yeah, it's a slight tug back on Moyes. And it's Johnson's first booking of the season there. Yeah, I was looking at the feet. There wasn't any contact on the feet, but he did. There's a slight grab to the shoulder, one of those ones where they feel the touch, go down. Yellow card. Free kick to Manchester City, very dangerous place. I'll give you some distances in a minute. It's De Bruyne takes from the right-hand side, but it's straight onto the head of, I think it's Dawson there. Ball comes back in, and that's a great defensive header there from Cresswell to clear it. Let's have a look at it again since it comes through. And that Manchester City had players over at the far post there. So is this the first corner of the game? I can't remember another one.
It is. We haven't had one yet. No, none so far.
But De Bruyne takes. It's gone right to the far back of the penalty area. and it's now back near the halfway line. Manchester City are going to come again.
Okay, we're pretty much a third of the way through the game. It's Manchester City 0, West Ham United 0. Quick match stats for you. Possession.
1-0 down.
And we have a goal. No.
Yeah, cross from the deep, and it's been put in by Ruben Diaz. They're going to De Bruyne for the cross. I mean, it's a great cross, but it's a bit bizarre because although Manchester City have had all the possession, it's not against the run of play as such, but it's come as a surprise because they've not really looked like scoring until then, if that makes sense. Have a look now. The ball's played out to the right wing, and De Bruyne sort of puts in, and it's going to be onside. And they've got the one over there. Seeing who's at the back there. That's and yeah, I'm afraid Diop loses his man there a bit, and yeah, they've overloaded, and Randolph really has not got an awful lot of chance with that. It's a header from point blank range. It's past him before he knows it's there.
Yeah.
Bit of a shame that, because it's one bit of sloppy defending there by Diop that's undone, sort of half an hour's worth of really good work.
Yeah.
As I say, it's up because now we're giving the ball away. This is where we don't want to be 2-0 down in a minute. And they get a shot in, but it's straight at Randolph. And that was Randolph's anyway saying, "Oh, hang on, guys, let's think about this." It is straight. It's meat and drink for Randolph. It's not a difficult save by any stretch of the imagination, but yeah, we need to switch back on and get back to what we were doing.
Yeah, very much so. The first goal of the game has arrived.
Here's a point: just seen Randolph clear from his hands long, and I think that's the first time that's happened during the game. Now West Ham on the attack. Now, do we get a corner out of that? Fornals went in and challenged the keeper, and the ball's rolled out. It's difficult to see who got last touch, but they've given it to Manchester City as a goal kick. But Fornals, defender not quite clearing, cleared it into the path of Fornals, who slid in. And I think that's a goal kick. It's Fornals may have got a touch on it, but yeah. So
okay, we have a goal. Thank you, No.
Your Lizzie tribute band. Pinky, there is one called Limehouse Lizzie, and the bass player stroke vocalist is a dead ringer. Worth seeing as well. They're very, very good. Oh, Manchester City now, and Randolph comes out to the edge of his box and clears.
Dare I say it, you'll have no greater Lizzie tribute act, the Black Star Riders, will you? Because that's essentially what they are. But yeah, indeed. But interesting.
Long ball from the back there for Manchester City, nearly catching it undone, but Randolph was awake to it. Again, an unusual move in the context of the game, because with Manchester City, it's all been built, and so it's slightly sort of. I mean, the goal comes from a long cross, and they nearly catch us undone with a long ball from the back, which is two completely random moves that have been sort of spliced in from another match.
Yeah, well, I was going to say this actually. You kind of detect almost a slight change tactically, Pinky, from Guardiola already. I mean, the goal coming from a deep cross, which we said is something that we don't generally have to be concerned by. Another opportunity there, a direct ball over the top. You think Guardiola's looked at that opening half hour, thought, we need to be a little more flexible here in our tactical approach and try and open up West Ham, as I said, a bit more directly.
Yeah, and the area they're really targeting is the gap between Diop and Soufal.
Yeah.
So when they were playing the ball on the deck, they were having a real go trying to get in behind Soufal. They'll undoubtedly put up the attacking areas the graphic they normally do at half time. It was all coming down that flank, but I think Guardiola would have spotted there were acres of space pretty much all the time between Diop and Soufal, and almost that you could park a bus between them. And it's no accident or coincidence that when the cross from deep came in, it was Diaz coming in there, just trundling in behind Diop, who was having a snooze as per usual. and gets the goal. I'm not a fan of the aforementioned Issa Diop, as people that watch this every week might realise, and I offer them Exhibit A. There you go.
Well, you know what, I'm gonna counter that. I think you've been a little bit harsh on Diop there. I mean, just looking, I need to see it again, but as the ball's played in, I think Soufal's kind of in two minds whether or not to step forward and stay with his man or drop in to pick up the third attacker.
Only one of
there is a
them's wearing
slight
gloves.
overload there.
Only one of them's wearing gloves. Yeah.
Well, that brings me on to the other guy wearing gloves, Randolph. You know, Rio, should we be expecting our goalkeeper to be a little bit more commanding in his 6-yard box than he was on that occasion, or is that a little bit harsh?
I think it's a little bit harsh. I mean, you'd like to see him come for it, but it was a quality ball, and obviously Issa's lost his man, so it's caught in a no man's down there. Really, he did get a hand to it, and I would have thought, could he have got a little bit more? Could he have made himself a little bit stronger in the wrist to try and get a bigger block on that? But the quality of delivery was exceptional. I think that's the biggest point now. And a little bit of momentary lapse again from Issa. All adds up, doesn't it? And that's why Manchester City are where they are.
Yep. Yeah, very much so. I mean, we are playing, let's not forget, we're playing one of the best club sides in the world at the moment. But it is Manchester City 1, West Ham United 0. The only goal of the game coming in the 30th minute. A De Bruyne cross nodded home by Diaz at the far post, with Diop potentially at fault for losing his man. We'll review that again at half time. Let us know what you think in the live chat on YouTube as to, you know, what who you put the blame on for that goal, if anyone, or was it just you know, an exceptional attack by City? Rio, we were going to go to the KUMB.com forum match thread and see, you know, what people were saying about 7 or 8 minutes ago. It was 0-0. We were all very, very positive. Things might have changed slightly now, I expect.
Yeah, it was all rather quiet in terms of match thread until we conceded, which isn't a criticism of the way that things were panning out. It's just everyone was rather happy with the way things were actually going and proceeding, and a lot of promise. The biggest criticisms was a little bit of stick for Ben Johnson, who's had a nervy start, and people are calling him for him to be subbed. But since the goal's gone in, bit of change of attack here. A few negative comments flying about, and they're flowing in. Bromley boys put, is it only me? I thought Moyes might have died for the free kick, then got Johnson booked that led to it. He definitely dragged his trailing foot. Still Dreaming's put, Randolph has to come in for that. His 6-yard box has got to be his. Simon Happer, far too sloppy with our passing in their third of the pitch. We cannot keep giving it back to them. It's a superb ball in from De Bruyne, but pass it quicker, pass it with more accuracy, and we've got a chance of getting back into this. Crosshammers, I was about to bemoan Randolph for not having made a save yet, but now he has. Pity he couldn't manage to hold on to it 2 minutes earlier. Graz has put, what a phenomenal ball in it was from De Bruyne. The op could have done better. The keeper could have come, but what a ball. Also, 100% of our corner, and obviously it's a goal kick to them. Hammer PDC, the unpopular truth that many won't like to hear, because he's an academy prospect, is that Ben Johnson is as bog standards defender as they come. No pace, limited going forward. Not dreadful, but not very good either. Going to either need drastically improving if he wants a career at this level. And Chapo 59 just reiterating the thing. It's a great ball in for De Bruyne, and Diop was ball watching again.
Okay, so again, you know, some blaming Diop, one or two picking up on Randolph, but we'll look over that one again at half time. Noam, it's 38 minutes gone. Man City leading by that goal to 0. West Ham, we could really do, you know, if we're going to get anything from this game, of course, now it goes without saying we need to score a goal. We've had a couple of opportunities. Antonio shot and Lingard had an effort block, but you know, apart from that, we've not really threatened, have we? And what do you do now if you're David Moyes? Do you think, well, you know, let's hold on to what we've got until the last 20 minutes or so, see if we can nick something at the end, or do you sort of think about opening up a little bit more now at this stage and having a go?
Well, we're having a go at the moment. Cross comes in from the right, and put it wide.
Put that in with a Todger. I mean, he's 12 yards out, and I think he just clips the outside of the post. I mean, Antonio, you have got to hit the target from there.
Jesse Lingard it is, who's
Yeah,
out on the right, who supplies the low cross, and it comes through. Fornals misses the ball. Antonio swivels on a sixpence and fires towards the bottom left-hand corner. I think it takes a deflection, doesn't it?
No, let's have a look. He hits it into the ground.
Yeah.
And it just clips the bottom of the post on its way out. So, standard football cliche 97, when you're playing teams like Manchester City, you've got to take the chances when they come. You were saying, I mean, do we sort of go for it? I think we carry on at the moment because we've not been, I mean, that's the clearest cut chance we've had, but the stat came up a few seconds ago that Manchester City 1-0 up had only had one actual attempt on goal, whereas we'd had three. So obviously we're capable of doing this, and we're still on the ball at the moment. Shot in there from Lingard, but it's a bit tame, and Ederson saves it. And we've actually got the situation where the pressing there was that City had to go long. And we're actually playing all right at the moment, so I'll just keep going like we're going.
Yeah, Lingard with an effort, not troubling the keeper, but Pinky, it's West Ham have responded well to going behind at least. Yeah,
very much so, and I think we've played some good football here today, some good one-touch pass and move stuff. We most definitely do not look like a pub team or easy beats. In terms of whether we chuck the kitchen sink at them now, no, I wouldn't. That is classic Man City, how they put 4 and 5 against teams. Is they get the first goal, then the opposition feel pressurised, got to get a goal back quickly, and all that happens is they leave acres of space behind them, and getting one goal against this Man City team is hard. Getting 2, almost impossible, and getting 3, give up.
We're on the attack again now. Soufal's got the ball to Lingard. Lingard's bearing down on the box, just in the box now, and tries to flick a through ball, but I think Souček, but it's a block in there as Torres is hobbling. Let's have a look. Having tried to nick the ball off Soufal and failing, he's hobbling. Don't know why. It didn't look as if he picks up a knock there, but Pinky's got a good point there. I mean, you look at when not they've been doing it much this season, but when they've been beating teams 5-0 for fun in the past, it'd be sort of 1-0 or 2-0 with about 15 minutes left, and suddenly there's 3 goals in the last 10 minutes or so. You suddenly look at 5-0 when the opposition runs out of steam. We don't want to be doing that.
Yeah.
And I just, as I say, we're doing all right at the moment. Last few minutes or so, we've been taking the game to them. Just carry on as we've been doing. If we lose this 1-0 playing like we are, well, you chalk it off and move on. But I think when the 1-0 hasn't put us out of this game like it might have done in the past. How many times we've gone 1-0 down and then within 3 minutes we're 3 down.
Yeah, very much so.
We're
approaching.
Well, now Soufal.
Let's score! Get in!
It's in! It's 1-1. It's been coming. It has been coming. I've just been saying, this is not flattering us.
Okay, well, we have a goal. It's Fornals lays the ball out wide to an overlapping Soufal, who pulls the ball across, and Jesse Lingard, I think it was going in anyway, wasn't it known? But Antonio's taking the credit for it.
Lingard into Fornals. That's a great run from Soufal. Squares it across. Lingard shoots, and it's Antonio puts it in the far post. Not offside at all. Nobody's offside in that. They obviously froze it just to make sure, but. Would that have gone in? It might not have, but let's face it. If I'm Antonio there, I'm sticking that in, full stop. I think that might have gone wide. So, but that's and it's a great look. it was an absolutely superb move. Sufo getting up to join the attack. So,
yep,
game on, 1-1, well played.
Game on indeed. Pinky, the ball, we've seen it a few times, haven't we? City perhaps overplaying a little bit in defence, conceding possession again there and punished with a goal for the Hammers.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it might have been De Bruyne in midfield that lets our guy basically do a trademark Trevor Brooking ball roll across him and just play it out the other side.
Yeah.
De Bruyne getting pelters on Blue Moon. He's getting absolutely slaughtered by the City fans. I mean, how funny is that? One of the best, probably the top 3 players in the world. And on today's showing, such are the standards at Man City, he's getting slaughtered by their support. And I think it was him that made the error there that created the opportunity essentially for us. But, we're playing well. I mean, this is
breaking again now.
A fluke. And Tokyo's run one way, we've played the ball the other. That's a comedy moment, But we are taking the game to Man City. Yeah, we're trying to give them a game here. This is not 10 men behind the ball clinging on for life. This is West Ham actually playing some decent football, and I would expect of the 2 managers. I mean, here we are, verge of half time now.
Well played, Sufo.
I think Guardiola will make 3 changes at the break. I mean, it's this is not looking good for City at the minute.
No, very much so. We are in added on time at the end of the first half. It's Manchester City 1, West Ham United 0. Rio, we spoke earlier in the half about West Ham's high press and how it was causing City all sorts of problems. And, we've seen it again there just before the goal. West Ham not giving City any room at all on the ball, and it's led to the equaliser. Great stuff.
Absolutely fantastic, and it fully deserved. This is a mark of David Moyes' side. In years gone past, we would have gone 1-0 down and absolutely caved in. After the goal we conceded, we regrouped, and we've been an absolute threat ever since. We've played really well. We've pushed hard, we've pressed them, we created chances, and that was a really worked team goal. Great ball by Sufo, and fantastic finish in the end. I'm a bit lost for words. I mean, I'm not the most vocal of people anyway, but I'm a little bit lost for words here because I'm just so incredibly proud at the minute. It's just, I'm a little bit stunned as well because I said normally you go to up to the Etihad and you expect to get absolutely stuffed. And when it goes 1-0, you normally just get the goals from Manchester City to flood in and flood in. But instead, we've got the better side. Now, we're asking real questions of them. Guardiola did that cross Hammers in a week because he knows that when Moyes finally retires, this is his next port of call. That's why he's doing it. He's not for a job.
Slugging out with Mourinho for the West Ham gig. Yeah.
We love to see it. The halftime whistle has, of course, blown at the Etihad Stadium. No, it's Manchester City 1, West Ham United 1. A bloody good first half, all things considered.
Yeah, I mean, the majority of it went pretty much the way we thought it would, with Manchester City having a lot of possession, not looking like they were going to do much with it. And there was one point they put up the stat, and this was after they'd gone 1-0 up, that West Ham had 3 attempts on goal to Manchester City's 1, the difference being that they scored. But at that point, we were taking the game to them. And it wasn't the sort of suicidal gung-ho, throwing everything kitchen sink forward, but it was measured. It was doing to City what they do to a lot of teams. We were sort of trying to keep possession and press forward. And there've been a couple of occasions when the final ball wasn't quite there and it hadn't been quite working, but we were at least pushing. We weren't looking shell-shocked. And yeah, when we went behind against Liverpool, for example, that was, it was like rabbits in headlights. But this looked like a side where maybe the first minute after they scored, where they could have gotten, there was the long ball that Randolph had to be alert to. But this is a side that said, okay, well, we've let in a goal, so be it. Let's roll our sleeves up. Let's get back to our game plan, which is to stifle and attack on the break. And it was, the goal was a superb goal. I mean, it's not going to win any awards, goal of the season awards, because those tend to go to the 30-yard screamers in the top right-hand corner. But as a well-worked goal, I'll take that. And I think 1-1 is a fair reflection of the game so far. We've not been outclassed. Let's do this for another 45 minutes, please, plus stoppage.
Ederson has been the busier keeper. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Randolph there, dare I say, he's dancing in the moonlight if this had been a night game. Look, we said it during playing in the first half. We're not where we are on the league table by accident. We've earned the right to be there.
Yeah.
And I think, the job Moyes has done in building the confidence of this team to the point where they feel they can compete against, a side that a squad certainly I'm describing as probably the best the world has seen. I mean, and I fear a little bit the second half we might see them make 3 changes that make them look even stronger. But we are competing. We're not doing it by hanging on for grim death. I think there's been one error in our defensive play that's cost us a goal. And to be fair, the ball in was something else as well. But we have looked more like getting the second or the third goal than Man City have looked like getting 2 goals. And sure. If this continues, who's the pressure really on? In if we say we get to the 80th minute, is it on us or is it on Pep Guardiola?
Yeah, well, we'll see, and hopefully we'll be in that position to comment again as the game goes on. Some stats for you. We've mentioned some stats. I've got loads and loads of stats for you here, so I'll just run through a few quickly. First of all, the actual match stats, possession-wise, Manchester City 65% possession in that first half to West Ham United's 35%. Now, this is a bit of an eye-opener. Shots on goal. Manchester City, 2 shots, 2 on target. West Ham United, 7 shots in that first half, 3 on target. The only corner of the game going to Manchester City. City conceding 1 foul, United conceding 6 fouls. So, I mean, that tells a story in its own. But a couple of very notable stats known from this first half. Michail Antonio, of course, scoring in back-to-back games against Manchester City, having scored against them earlier in the season in Stratford. He's the first opposition player to score at the Etihad in the last 12 games. That just goes to show how strong City have been at home. Manchester City conceding at home for the first time since the 15th of December. And also Antonio's goal is the first goal conceded by Manchester City at the Etihad Stadium this season with John Stones on the pitch. A little bit closer. don't know what that one means, but thought we'd throw that one in there anyway. Talking about West Ham players, Jesse Lingard, who of course provided the cross for Antonio's goal. Whether or not it was going to go in or not, we'll have to see and get the slide rule out on the TV replay a little bit later. But anyway, his stats so far for West Ham: 5 appearances, 3 goals and 1 assist. And of course, he won a penalty, didn't he, last week as well? A couple of weeks ago. So that's really good. Declan Rice. Now, Declan Rice, someone we haven't really spoken about, known so far. He's been sort of just quietly going about his business as he does in the middle of the park there. His stats for that first half: 100% of his tackles won, 87% pass accuracy, 4 ball recoveries, 1, of course, which led to the goal. He made the challenge, which led to the equaliser, 3 interceptions. Loads of stats for you there. Noam, what do you make of that lot? Anything that sort of stands out specifically there?
I do love some of the more niche stats. That's the first goal they've conceded on a Saturday lunchtime in February since the last time they conceded a goal on a Saturday lunchtime in February. And here's one for you, though. It's just come up on my feed here. It's last time Jesse Lingard played on this ground, he won with Manchester United. So, but yeah, I mean, you can throw all sorts of stats and I think when we have attacked, we've been more direct, and we've excuse me, and I have to say that the chances we've had, what with Antonio clipping the post, and the other one where Antonio had Ederson in all sorts of trouble with the header there, and the shot getting blocked. those have been more of the sort of heart in mouth moments for either side than City. I mean, City, the goal, yes. The long ball from the back that Randolph cleared. There was one other bit where we got the block in where De Bruyne had run in, made a darting run into the box. But, you know, there's been nothing there that's really sort of, as I say, when the goal went in, it wasn't against the run of play because they'd had a lot of possession, but it was surprising. And there's got to be a way of expressing that, because for all the possession, they hadn't really worried us.
Yeah.
So when they scored, it sort of was a little bit out of the blue. And it was just showing Antonio hitting the post here. He had more time than that. He had time to actually bring that a little bit more under control. But
it was a very typical Antonio-esque effort, wasn't it? That one, Noam. It's you know, sort of take a bit of a wild swing. And I think I don't know if you noticed it, but the camera's panned to David Moyes on the sideline just after, and it was almost like a resigned look in Moyes' face. You know,
we've got to take those, yeah. I mean, you know, if the better chances are taken, we go in ahead at this game, really, in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, you can bandy around stats all you like, but I think we've played well. We deserve to be in this game level, and let's carry on playing like that. I mean, it may be that City turn it up a few notches, and you know, as we said, their bench is not bad, is it? But let's keep. I mean, it's all about the hard work, and you know, it's. You know, we went in, and it just makes that game against Liverpool all the more galling and annoying. Yeah. Because that Liverpool side aren't a tenth of what Manchester City are, and this just shows in a half what we could have been doing against Liverpool had we believed, and I don't think the players did that. It was kind of a little bit more resignation to that. I think one of the reasons for that change in attitude is that since then. We've been on that run, and the confidence has built up since then. And I think if we were playing Liverpool next week, that would be a whole new different game. But I think we were kind of early on in that run, and I don't think we quite believed in ourselves at that point. So
you spoke, Noam, about all the stats that I was hurling at you from all angles. I'm going to throw another one at you now, and it's one of your favourites. It's the expected goal stat. We need a fan. We definitely need a fanfare for this one. Noam's favourite stat of the day: the expected goal stat for the first half. What about this? Manchester City 0.42. West Ham United 1.72. Obviously, the Antonio coming into play there. What do you make of that one, Noam?
Well,
Pinky's a bit more of a fan.
Is that with or without the usual standard deviation curve?
You're going to bring your bell curves into play again here, aren't you?
You leave my bell curves out of this.
Pinky.
Anyway. This is the point I made in the first half about against Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah.
The first sort of glances you watch it as a supporter, and you look at it and going, crikey, they're battering us here for a while and so forth. But all their so-called opportunities were long range, kind of off target, not really threatening the keeper. And that's indicative of what a good job that Souček and Rice do in front of the defence to actually deny good scoring opportunities. And what we're seeing again here today is Man City are not getting good goal scoring opportunities.
Yep.
Whereas what West Ham United have carved out for themselves are good goal scoring opportunities. If I was David Moyes, I might be tearing into Antonio a little bit today, saying, do you know what? You should have a hat trick now. You know, thanks for the goal, Mikael, but actually, do you know what? The one that clipped the post hit the target. The one where you've actually roughed up Ederson, well, don't just rough him up, put the ball in the next zone. Yeah. Now, Moyes, because he's a nice chap and all the rest of it, might be trying to encourage Mikael a bit more. But we have had massively the better chances in that first half, and we've taken one of them. Yeah. And that's what those stats are really telling us, is that we've had the better chances. And it was the same against Tottenham, the old XG numbers. What we're actually looking at as TV supporters, we're thinking, well, they've had chance after chance, but they're not good quality chances. Yeah. And City today, we've managed to deny them those. And that's what Rice and Souček are doing for us. Rice has been absolutely superb in that first half. He has been double awesome, really good. And is a player that actually, do you know what, would not look out of place in that Manchester City team, dare I say it.
Well, I think Pep Guardiola alluded to that yesterday, didn't he, in his press conference, said that he's a fantastic player and someone he's keeping a close eye on. Rio, David Moyes' tactics in that first half. We spoke a few times about the high press. Obviously, it led to the goal. Rice making that challenge in City's half. He's got it absolutely spot on, hasn't he, so far this afternoon?
Yeah, as he has done for most of the season. Ben Johnson's not had the best of halves, but he's kind of grown into it since the last 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But him and Cresswell doubling up down the left side has cut out a lot of Manchester City supply line. The one time that City did create a chance was via a free kick that kind of worked its way back and a deep cross in, which a lot of people in the forum are now putting the blame also on Dawson as well. There's a lot of blame being shed about for the goal. But in terms of doing what Moyes has set out to do, we've denied them space, we've frustrated them, we've restricted them to long-range chances, as Pinky said. We've done everything that we possibly can completely spot on. Also, I think Pablo Fornals has had a marvellous first half. He's worked his absolute nuts off.
Yep.
And not only that, when he has had the ball, he's used it incredibly well. His part in the build-up was superb. I just think everything that Moyes has done today has pretty much come off, and so far it's worked. Now, obviously, Manchester City's bench is far stronger than us, and when they do decide to throw the dice, he's got something to think about. But in Moyes we trust, and I think if anyone's going to be able to deal with any kind of potential tactical changes that City make, David is the man.
Well, we're underway.
We've started. The game started. I was going to dive into the forums, but it doesn't look like we're going to get the opportunity to do that. I just wanted to point out something very quickly while we're waiting for the first important passage of play in the second half. When Leicester City won at Manchester City earlier in the season, they fell a goal behind before equalising just before the break, going into the interval with the score at 1-1 before scoring 4 goals. In the second half, and of course City grabbed one at the end to win 5-2. So if we're looking for omens, I suppose you could look at that and say we hope that lightning strikes twice once again. But as Noam says, we are underway. It's Manchester City 1, West Ham United 1. Noam, it's been a fantastic first half for West Ham. We're looking for them to do it again. Once again, though, this is going to be a really important opening 10 minutes for us.
Yeah, and we have been a bit fallible, as Manchester City are actually on the attack at the moment. No changes as far as I can see at the interval. Cross comes in, but that's just going to go wide, and Randolph lets it go wide. Manchester City substitutes. Looking at their phone, sort of all warming up down in the corner there. It's been a fascinating game of football. I'm trying to wonder what when West Ham games are on, how I'd be looking at this as a neutral. Whilst it's not been sort of all out gung ho attacking, it's been one of those games that hasn't been a bad game. It's been fascinating to watch. If you're just watching from any other sort of point of view, just as Randolph clears long and. It's going to settle down into this pattern where Manchester City have a fair bit of possession and we're just going to have to work hard. So there we go. Anyway, nothing to report so far as we're 2 minutes and 10 seconds into the second half.
Manchester City 1, West Ham United 1. Pinky, as we said, that's going to be an important next 10, 15 minutes for the Hammers. We need to ensure that we keep it tight. At the back, one player we sort of haven't really spoken an awful lot about in the first half, Darren Randolph. We spoke before the game saying that he was slightly concerned about his vulnerability from crosses. And of course, that's where the goal came from. But he's done a pretty decent job so far, hasn't he? Apart from, that one incident.
Well, he actually hasn't had that much to do, truth be told.
Yeah.
I mean, we're defending as a unit very well indeed.
We're attacking well now. Now. I'd like to see that again. Lingard's just gone down right on the edge of the box. And what's going on here? I thought Lingard was fouled there. And I think they might be checking, actually, for a bit. He's gone running towards the box. Oliver got in the way of the ball he was going to play. So he went running into the box. I don't think there's anything on the board there. I think that might be a penalty,
Wow, huge.
A little bit on the ball. I think he's going to get away with that. But, you sit in real time. I think Fernandinho just got a bit on the ball, and I think that's going to save him. Now, we've got an incident. Randolph is actually on his haunches talking to the physio up the other end. So
he's actually saying, Lizzie tribute band. Is that a serious offer or maybe he's heard. Just on the side on that, one-time guitarist with Lizzie's greatest lineup, Mr. Brian Robertson, actually lived in a pub at the end of my road for a while. I had a room in a pub at the end of my road for a number of years. So there you go. That's.
We're just looking at Randolph. His ankle's gone under him as he's taken a goal kick there.
Yeah.
And David Martin was sort of looking as if he was getting ready to come on, but it looks like Randolph may be staying on because Randolph's only just become available after a few weeks out through injury, and David Martin's just having a bit of a jog along the touchline. But for the moment, anyway, Randolph's staying on. So an incident, couple of interesting incidents there for. It all happening in a minute or so, whilst nothing was happening.
Yes, I mean I've not seen a replay of that incident you referred to, but obviously Michael Oliver has decided that Fernandinho did get something on the ball. But I mean, Pinky, what's the salient point there, I think, is let's talk about that run from Jesse Lingard. Looked up, nothing on, and thought he'd just dive straight into the box. A top class run from a top class player.
Well, he's certainly playing well for us at this point in time, and again, dare I say it, maybe Man City are in grave danger here today of not doing the hard work that you need to do. And it's the old adage that hard work beats talent when talent doesn't beat work hard. Yeah. For all the talent that Man City have got, I can't certainly judge them by the comments on Blue Moon and what I'm seeing with my own eyes here. They're not doing the hard dog yards that you need to do against decent quality opposition. And perhaps there's an element of them underestimating West Ham, some of those City players out there today, because we've been very good today, and City, by their standards, haven't been all that. I'm hugely surprised Guardiola hasn't rung the changes yet. Hugely surprised.
Corner to West Ham, by the way. Antonio went on a run down the left wing, got the better of Walker, who got back to cut out the cross. So corner to West Ham, and let's see how it goes. Just wait for it to be taken now. Corner's taken and missed by everybody. And Diop's actually going to have to come and win that back, which he does. Ball played in again, and Rice tries to head it out towards the wing, but everybody's trotted back. So nothing to come of it. And long ball played down the line. I think that's Zivchenko, but he's played it straight into behind for a goal kick. So
interesting method of defending there, known by the City defence. Sort of a line, almost like a wall in a sense. In front of Diop and Soufal, and holding hands to keep them out. Yeah, incredible.
Yeah. To try and stop the late run. That'd be interesting to see if somebody tries to, because obviously they've got no
now we've got Dawson taking the goal kick.
Yeah. So that says something about Randolph's ankle, perhaps. But yeah, I mean, that'd be an interesting one, because obviously Dawson's got this habit of running from deep, and of course that would stop that. Now, whilst they've got no obligation to get out of the way. As Sufo's just been caught there, you'd wonder if be a case to argue for obstruction. And yeah, Sufo's just intercepted nicely and taken a studs on the top of his foot for his trouble. It's one of those ones that will be painful for a few minutes, but I think Sufo's tougher than most. So.
Should point out, actually, Noam, that was a monster clearance by Craig Dawson from the goal kick, reaching at least 15. But on a serious note, that's slightly concerning if Randolph isn't feeling up to taking goal kicks. Is that a concern, or does it illustrate that the bench hasn't got that much faith in David Martin?
I think they might be giving him a few minutes. I mean, Martin's a decent, solid keeper. We all sort of, he's obviously got a lot of goodwill by virtue of his DNA. But you wouldn't want to waste a substitution on a goalkeeper unless you really had to. So I think it's less a comment on Martin and more a comment on we've got a game plan, and if maybe with subs, and we'd want to try and stick to that. City now building up down their left-hand side, and cut into the box, but again some good defending. It's now trying to fashion a shot, and it's gone about 10 yards wide. That's
I live nearer than that.
Yeah, that's Walker, isn't it? Basically, again, you could say that this is a little bit an evidence of a bit of frustration from City, who have a habit of scoring goals with passing moves that get in a lot nearer than that.
I'll bring that Rice again. I'm sorry to cut across you, Gordon.
Yeah, sure, carry on.
Absolute joy it is to watch a genuine two-footed footballer who makes acres of space for himself and others by virtue of the fact that he will use both feet. Yeah, and he just looks a class above most other players on the field. He really does. Super stuff from young Declan there. Sorry, guys.
City boring forward now, and but again, we block on the edge of the box, and Antonio's on the ball now, plays it out to the right-hand side to Lingard. Again, held up well by Antonio there. And Lingard tries to play Antonio in, and it clips the City defender, nearly comes back to Lingard, almost on a 1-2, but not quite. But again, we're playing as much in their half as they are in ours. Just don't want us to go too gung-ho, but this is a very even game.
Yeah, and also Rio, we've survived that difficult 10 minutes at the start of the second half. I wanted to say a few words about Michail Antonio. Obviously, he's got the goal, and people will point to that, but hasn't he done a fabulous job so far in holding up the ball and bringing other people into play? This is the one thing we were always really concerned about with Sebastian Haller, wasn't it? Just couldn't do that, couldn't perform that role. But Antonio's given a sort of masterclass today, isn't he, in one sense of playing as the lone striker and, as I say, bringing his teammates into the game.
Absolutely, and you've got to take into consideration that it's not his natural role. He hasn't been a striker since birth. He's been kind of eked into this position over the last 2 or 3 seasons.
Yeah,
he's done a marvellous job against a team like City. You cannot afford for the ball to go forward, then come straight back time and time and time again. And for someone like Antonio to come in, hold the ball up, bring up. We got kind of a wealth of attacking talent behind him.
Yeah.
And well played for hours.
As a unit, they're working incredibly well. Antonio wins it, holds it, brings in the likes of Fornals and Lingard, who are equally adept at kind of breaking up the play a little bit, keeping the ball in the opposition half rather than it coming back into our one and putting our defence under intense pressure again. It's an absolutely marvellous job by everyone concerned at the moment.
Yeah, very much so. The Hammers doing us proud out there at the moment as we approach the hour mark. It's still Manchester City 1, West Ham United 1. City opening the scoring on the half-hour mark through Diaz with a header at the far post before Michail Antonio, who we're just talking about. They're equalising 2 minutes from half-time with a shot at the far post. No.
Fornals intercepted a loose pass and got himself into the box. Did a lot of twisting and turning. Now then, City are on the break now. And De Bruyne, they've got 2 against 2 in the back here. De Bruyne takes it down to the byline. And it's straight across the goal and straight out the other side. So we survived a bit there. Fornals did some good work in the box. It's all happening at the moment. We're going out on the break now, and Rice is bringing it forward. Plays it out now to the left to Lingard's out there. I'll describe some of what's going on in a minute. But we're on the attack now, and Lingard's still holding the ball. He's got Rice outside him if he wants, but plays the ball inside now to Fornals, who's down by the byline, but not so good for Fornals. I think we've earned the throw in there, but I mean, there was sort of half chance one end, and then they nicked it on the break, and De Bruyne got down to the byline, crossed the goal, faced the goal. Nobody got on the end of it. So now we've got a cross in. Again, it's blocked by City. Lingard, lovely little back heel. That's Cresswell. Cross comes in, and Edison cuts out the cross. So, all happening. There's a little passage of play there where it could have been a goal at either end.
Yeah, and I mean, City should have got a second goal there. Yeah. Essentially, when they tore up field, Soufal was 40 yards away from where he should have been, and that's the price you pay for sort of your modern fullbacks playing as wingers. Other City teams of recent vintage would have definitely buried that. And I think Guardiola will be looking at his bench and thinking, do you know what? Maybe I should have made a change because that was the moment. That's about as open as you're ever going to be against Man City. And for them not to score, that was a big let off for ourselves there. Having said that, for periods of this second half, it's been City with 10 men behind the ball. They've been defending against West Ham as their guy lets off a shot. But again, Johnson now on the far side sticks it out. City throw in, but good game in the second half. Good entertaining stuff.
I think we're about to see a change. Did I see the lino hold his flag up there? They're just showing now the De Bruyne. De Bruyne basically gets there before Diop, takes it into the box, as I say, straight across the area, and Aguero's sort of looking at. And as I just said, we are seeing a change. Aguero, that was his last non-bit of involvement in the game. He's off, and Gabriel Jesus is on. So first change of the game.
A couple of points there as City make their first substitution. I'm surprised, actually, Pinky, you didn't mention Issa Diop's woeful attempt at a tackle there when City burst forward on the left.
To be fair to Diop on that occasion, he was putting in a lung-busting run to try and actually stop De Bruyne because Soufal was so far out of position. He was covering a missing fullback. So I wouldn't pin that on Diop. If I was going to criticise him for that there, it'd have been, do you know what? You've made it that far, mate. Take one for the team and just go straight through him.
I think he was trying to, but
it wasn't quite quick enough to get there. Yeah.
He got there as quick as he could, yeah.
Yeah, the other thing I wanted to point out just briefly, it's only a minor thing, but we know that Darren Randolph, damaged his ankle at the start of the second half. Just watching as the cross came over just a few moments ago there, he sort of made an attempted dive towards his far post. The shot was blocked. He didn't need to make the save, but just watching his recovery, and he was straight back up onto his foot. So it looks like that problem might have resolved itself, which is good news, of course, for David Moyes and West Ham. We are more than an hour in. We're 2/3 into the game. West Ham still on level terms with Manchester City now. And as we've said, we've had chances, Rio, haven't we? I mean, we saw it. That Noam described that chance where Fornals burst into the box, a little bit of trickery, pulled the ball across for Jesse Lingard, couldn't quite make it. But once again, it stemmed from City conceding possession in their own third of the pitch. What's going on?
Yeah, the press, the high press, the work rate, the energy, City have been doing this to teams the last 4 or 5 years and doing it to an absolute another level with the money and the tools at their disposal.
Yeah.
With a budget version, and they don't like it up them, do they? They do not like it up, and when it gets back done to them, now we're more than matching them here. It's a marvellous display from a cut price West Ham side, punching well above their weight in the league, and we're doing so well. It is unreal. And I mean, how much did the City team cost? It's about £1 billion worth of talent out there compared to the value of us. And who's the better side at the moment? Because it certainly isn't them.
Yeah, West Ham doing a great job. There was that stat, wasn't there, the other day, posted by one of the big TV broadcasters about the amount of money City had spent on their defensive players. And I think the goalkeeper and 4 of the defenders equated to about 250 million, 300 million pounds, which was, given how much West Ham United generally spend on defensive players, is just goes to show the difference. But the Hammers, in terms of those 11 men on the field, there's nothing between them at the moment, Noam. One thing, we've seen a change there from Man City, Aguero replaced by Jesus on the hour mark. What point here, this is a tough decision now for David Moyes. He's got everything pretty much bang on so far today. Team selection's right. Tactical selection's been absolutely spot on. What about substitutions? We haven't got a wealth of options on the bench. Players are going to start to get tired. What are you thinking?
Come back to me on this as we're on the attack. And
Okay.
It's a terrible ball from Lingard. He could have played Soufal in there, and it was behind, and City came in on the to intercept. Such a shame, because again, it was good work from Antonio winning the ball deep in our territory. But Antonio and Lingard linking up well. Now City now got the ball in the box on their right hand side, and he's gone down, but he's fallen over rather than anything else. But he was offside anyway. I think the flag eventually went up, so he looked as if he might have been. Let's have a look at it now. Yeah, it's just gone beyond. Top half of his body is offside. So, sorry, what were we saying before that bit?
Substitutions. David Moyes, he's got a difficult decision to make now.
Well, on substitutions, Torres is off now, and they brought on Foden. So, there's 2 things about this. One, it's an indication that Manchester City are unhappy, perhaps, with the way they're going. And, suddenly we got... I mean, Aguero's not fully match fit. He's played, 4 games in the league all season. So he's probably going to go off at some stage. But Jesus is kind of like for like. Foden, obviously now they're bringing him on to actually have an influence on things. As for our substitutions, I'm not sure I'd change anything at the moment, because it's a delicate balance, which is kind of working. So unless anybody's suffering out there, I really wouldn't change anything for the time being, which, as I say, may have been the reason they were so keen not to bring Randolph off. He seems to be clearing the ball all right now, but it is a delicate balance. The way we're set up, it's working. Keep it like that, I think. Don't change unless you have to.
Okay, good stuff. Pinky, are we at that point now where we start biting those fingernails and pleading for the final whistle? 25 minutes to go, not a million miles away now.
Well, I think the fact that Guardiola's now made 2 changes. I think Moyes has won that particular battle. He's forced his opponent into, a change in personnel, and I think the introduction of Phil Foden for Man City. We've now got the 2 best players in the Premier League at the minute on the pitch at the same time.
Yeah,
Foden for City, and I think Rice for West Ham United. So I think they are the 2 hottest properties in English football right now. And a compliment, I think, to David Moyes from Guardiola, that he's having to bring on his big guns or bigger guns to try and force a result. If I was Moyes, I'd change absolutely nothing at this point, because all the pressure's on City. So for now, just let it be. Let it be.
Yeah, I think you touched on this earlier, Pink. And the only thing that's sort of worrying me out there at the moment is that I don't know if we're getting maybe a little too confident, but Soufal seems to at times be playing like a right winger more than a wing back. And we pointed it out earlier, didn't we? How he got caught out with that chance with
City, Gray.
Yeah, okay. Let's go to that first of all.
Ball comes across. It's headed up and out, and the clearance is completed. It's back with Manchester City halfway inside our half. I'll get onto that in a minute, how that's come about. But the ball again is out on City's right wing, and the goal, 2-1. And that Stones has put it in. I'm a little bit annoyed about this actually, because it's all stemmed originally from a free kick that was awarded against Soufal for handball.
Yeah.
When it should have gone the other way, because he got a shove in the back, which was unpunished, and then they flicked it against his hand, and he got the free kick. It should have gone the other way. Oliver had a clear view of it, but corner came from that. Only cleared halfway. Let's have a look at it now. It's the ball's been played along the ground. That's De Bruyne that's played it out wide. So that is out there because it's sunny out there, but he's pulled it back, and Stones is pretty much unmarked. Fornells is the nearest player who's just turned it in. That's harsh on us, I'd say. Randolph, no chance. It's just come for a crowd of players. That's Moyes has done the work on the right wing. It's a little bit annoying because that really stemmed from a free kick. The corner came from the free kick, came from something that really shouldn't have been given. But we're going forward now. Let's do what we did last half. Just keep plugging away.
Yep.
And see what we can do. But as we're on the attack now, Lingard. It's a throw into West Ham. Johnson's done well to win the throw in there. Just thought he might have done a little bit better and got the ball down at the byline. But it's disappointing because 2-1 is flattering Manchester City, I think, at the moment.
Yeah. It's also a good point I think you make about that free kick. We'll have another look at that perhaps after the game, because it certainly seemed a cheap free kick to give away, and it was kicked straight at him from direct. A couple of meters away.
He got a shove in the back just the second before it, which was if he'd gone down like Man City had gone down, like a lot of teams gone down, he'd have been awarded that. He was trying to control the ball and just got a shove. So I feel a little bit
disappointing. Yeah, Pinky, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still distracted by what we talked about previously on Soufal and the way he's playing and all the rest of it.
Yeah,
every team will see that he has a tendency to get stranded upfield. There's nothing we're spotting that the opposition video analysts aren't watching week in, week out, and they say exploit the space behind him, because there will be some. That wasn't the reason we've just conceded a goal just now, but you think they're all playing percentages, and they'll go, that's the space to exploit. And how do you stop that? Well, you stop it by just saying to Soufal, don't give us any of the attacking side of things. And then that just blunts our attacking options. The number of players who have the energy to get up and down, doing high intensity sprints, minute after minute, game after game, are few and far between. City had one for a number of years in Pablo Zabaleta. So that's the caliber of player you've got to be if you don't want to do what Soufal's doing week in, week out, which is getting stranded upfield. It's an impossibly high benchmark, bar to reach. In terms of the goal that we've conceded, disappointing, but you know what? John Stones there, he's put himself in exactly the right position where when the ball is cut back, that's where Aguero would be stood. Had he still been on the pitch, just the ball's cut back, keeper no chance, bang, in it goes. The scoreline flatters Man City. They'll put up a wealth of stats at full time, the passes in final third and all the rest of it. Do me a favour. Edison has been a busier keeper this afternoon than Randolph, and that, to me, I don't know how you show that as a stat, but we've been well worth sort of a competitive position here this afternoon, and I think 2-2 could happen. And if we get a second goal, there won't be many teams this season to get two against Man City. That's for sure.
No, definitely not. Rio, your thoughts on that goal? Any blame attributed perhaps to young Ben Johnson giving Moyes a little bit too much space, perhaps, to pull that ball back for Stones?
Yeah, I think that's the only thing you can really attribute to.
Yeah,
Johnson probably a little bit naivety there. But what you got to say, it was a great finish from a centre half. And let's face it, both of their goals today have been scored by their centre halves for all their attacking talents.
Yeah, so I was going to say, I'm going to point that out after there, just to say that both goals came from originally from set pieces in which the central defenders have stayed upfield and, you know, effectively produced an overload in that area. Yeah,
and you can prepare for all the scenarios in a game you want, but from the breakdown of play, when centre halves still upfield and kind of roaming areas of the pitch you don't expect them to be, that's where we've been undone. But both of them have been absolute quality finishes as well. I think the first goal, great cross, great header. You can argue one of our defenders, possibly Randolph, should have come for it, but you can't deny the quality of the cross. And that goal there from Stones, it was a great finish from a centre-back. You know, a little bit of naivety from Johnson. But as we've said, we've been much the better side in this second half, you know. If we maintain the belief and maintain the intent that we've had shown all game, we're not out of this, you know. We're far from out of this. We've been a better side.
Yeah, still time, still plenty of time for West Ham to get back into this. But the set pieces, we just saw another set piece there known for West Ham. This is something we've been really, really strong on this season. And, you know, we haven't had an awful lot today, but, you know, we've not really done a lot with what we've had. And that one, of course, easily picked up by the keeper who's receiving treatment. But again, it's too deep, isn't it? And difficult for Dawson to attack.
Yeah, I mean, it was too close to the keeper. I don't believe for 1 second he's in any way, shape or form as in pain as he's making out there. It was, Dawson, came into him. But, you know, it's the thing, just again, we've got Oliver again, and we're talking about referees. Earlier on in the game, I saw Johnson booked for a little tug on Mahrez, and, you know, fair enough. Now, the free kick that led to that, Lingard was bursting through and was on a run, and he was just taken out by Foden. No attempt to play the ball. It was a cynical little trip.
Yeah.
And, you know, the yellow didn't come out for that, and it's this sort of inconsistency, and that was more clear cut than anything that Johnson had done. And, you know, that had to be a yellow. But, yeah, that free kick was far too close to Ederson. And of course, Dawson coming in, that's only ever going to be given one way, isn't it? With goalkeepers, it's unless you're Darren Randolph at Old Trafford, you never get anything like that out of a referee. But anyway, we're back underway anyway. Ederson's had his magic spray and been told, it'll be all right soon. There's a pray boy. And we're back underway again. But again, with effective, good anticipation from Johnson there, and we've got the ball back. So it's how we use it is I'd like to see us using it a little bit better.
Yeah, very much so. Well, there's still plenty of time, as we said, for West Ham to get back into this game. I should stress that the Pink Palermo's prediction of 1-1 and mine of 2-1 win for West Ham are out the window now. Noam, you'll bang on right now with a 2-1 win for City. And Rio, you went for a 3-1 win for City, didn't you? So you're both still on. No.
We did some good interception, and Lingard tried to play in Souček, and the ball wasn't up to it. And now City are basically on the attack again. And again, it's out there. That'd be Mahrez out on that right wing, I presume. It's been forced inside this time, and the ball's back again, halfway line. But that's frustrating because, again, a good position and the final ball, a decent final ball into Souček, and he's bearing down on goal. Just wasn't there.
I think Souček expressed his frustration there, wasn't he? You could see him throw his hands up in the air. One possible change, Rio, that we could make, is as I said, there isn't an awful lot of options for David Moyes to choose from on the bench, but we do have Ben Rama, who we know is quite a creative player. We've got Jared Bowen, who's got bundles of pace. Lanzini, who is perhaps not the player he was, but there are options there. What would you perhaps be thinking now? As we approach the last sort of 12, 13 minutes of normal time.
I think in terms of substitutions, you've got to look at Bowen first of all, because his energy and work rate provides a lot. And we're chasing the game now, but you don't want to lose that shape. You don't want to lose that energy. You don't want to lose that intensity. And I think Bowen offers that. So possibly Bowen for Fornells, who it looks like he's tiring a little. Ben Rama possibly a little bit later. But with Ben Rama, you don't get the discipline, do you? You get the attacking intent, but you don't get the defensive ability. So it's a very much of a balancing act. It's a hard one to call, but the longer this game goes on, you might need that little bit of magic, that little bit of unpredictability that Ben Rama could offer. But who he comes on for is a different matter.
Yeah, very much so. Well, time is beginning to run out for West Ham, but it's still plenty to go. I should point out, of course, perhaps that West Ham have only had one shot in this half, having enjoyed 7 in the first half. So, for all our efforts and energy that they've been putting on out there, it's not been converted to opportunities at the other end of the pitch so far. But great little stat for you. We talked about John Stones in the first half, and here's another John Stones related stat talking about the goal. Apparently, John Stones has now scored 3 times as many goals at the Etihad this season as Man City have conceded with him on the pitch there. So there you go. And another one for you: 629 minutes between the goal from Michail Antonio and the previous goal Manchester City conceded at the Etihad Stadium back in December. Noam, over to you.
Well, corner to Man City, Gray, out on their left wing, taken across now. Oh, header comes in, but it's blocked. Headed back out wide to the corner there. That's bobbling around again, but we've managed to clear it now and back on the halfway line. And let's stick with it. We're forcing them back a bit, but City are going to bring it forward. The corner, City had a shot from the edge of the box, which was blocked straight in front of it. It was one of those ones that looped up and over the bar. Thankfully, not like the infamous Paul Parker thing in the was it Italia 90. It looked a bit like that, but it was always going miles over. So just one of those sort of corners you can't do anything about, really.
We are rapidly approaching the final 10 minutes of this game. West Ham trading now by 2-1. It's been a really, really good performance by the Hammers, but not just quite enough at the moment as things stand. Pinky, what are you thinking now in terms of substitutions and maybe making changes to affect, the required changes to bring on that equaliser? We need to score now. Do we go for it, or do we just settle for what we've got?
No. I mean, at this point in time, we've got nothing. We've got a defeat. So, if you're going to make a change, make it soon, because we've got a quarter of an hour probably to get the goal. I'll bring Bowen on, and I'd probably hook Fornals if I'm being honest.
Okay.
And that's not to suggest Fornals hasn't had a good game. He gives us huge amount of energy, which when you're playing City, you need players that can run around a bit. But I just think Bowen would be more likely to do something that gets a goal, either creates one or score it himself. So I'd make that change, PDQ if I was Moyes, because 2-1, however well we've played, we've got nothing. There's no points.
Okay. Interestingly, we note that David Martin has been warming up consistently throughout the second half and continues to do so. I don't think, Rio, there was any evidence that that injury to Darren Randolph prevented him from making a save for that second City goal. But it is a slight concern nonetheless, and maybe David Moyes has got that in the back of his mind.
We've got Ben Rama and Bowen. Great.
Okay, 2 changes.
Ben Rama and Bowen are stripped and ready to come on. So I was going to differ to Rio and Pinky. I was going to suggest Ben Rama, mainly because where we've looked really dangerous is when Lingard's been running at them, and they came with that much of it giving away a penalty. He got hacked down, which should have been a yellow card, and I think that's kind of the way forward. Now, whatever change we make, we're going to sacrifice some sort of defensive integrity at this point. But as Pinky says, we're 2-1 down.
Why not?
But
Why not? Indeed.
To Man City first. It's come across, and Randolph punches more up in the air than out. And one of the things we always feared about Randolph, he had nobody on him, no pressure on him. Ball still with City out on the right wing. Just stay with me, but they're playing it back now. So
okay,
it's way back.
Let me go to Rio quickly. Who are you expecting to be hooked here, Rio? If Ben Rama and Bowen being given instructions by Kevin Nolan, who's going to be the 4 guys?
I think it could be Johnson and go to flat back 4 for one of them, and possibly Fornals, because he likes to mess about with the attacking midfield options at round about, well, normally a little bit earlier than this, but round about this time.
Yeah, Johnson's not had a brilliant game today, is he? Today, he caught out once or twice, conceded possession a lot in the first half. Maybe question marks about the second goal.
Sold down the river by Antonio, who for the first time didn't hold up the play well. He had Johnson running outside him. If he could have played it in, we were in a good position. But Antonio basically just didn't control it well, and the ball was nipped off him, leaving Johnson a bus ride to get back in position. City building up on the edge of the box again now. Again, it's crossed in low, but that's cleared away by it's Dawson, Dawson there. Big grin on his face. I think they're waiting for. Yeah, they're waiting. I think for City not to be on the attack, for us to make the change. So,
which may perhaps indicate that it is a defensive player coming up. But just quickly touching on Craig Dawson, Pinky. He's made some really good interceptions today. Played really well overall.
The changes are now, Gray, sorry. Antonio is off. Bowen's on. And are they making the second change simultaneously or just leaving it at that? And Johnson is trudging away. He's gone up on the other side and Ben Rama's on. So I think, I think we saw a bit of a tired Antonio give the ball away there a minute ago. But the changes have been made and they've got, 7 minutes plus about 4 a stoppage, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Good stuff.
We had Randolph being talked to, a couple of subs, so 4 outside 5. I think we'll be looking at.
Okay, maybe reserving that space for Randolph if necessary. Yeah. Just quickly, Pinky, Craig Dawson. Really decent effort again at the back today, being very, very strong. Not really put a foot wrong. Although I've seen 1 or 2 people suggest maybe he should have done better for the first City goal.
What, for Dawson?
Yeah. 1 or 2 comments popping up on forums and social media saying that it was actually his fault for not closing the player down. It seems a little bit harsh.
No, not for my money. I mean, always open to persuasion if we see it again. But
yeah,
I think the first goal, an excellent cross in from deep, and for me, it's Diop that's lost his man. No two ways about it in my view.
Yeah.
The second goal, yes, it was Johnson. They got in behind him, and the system that Moyes has been playing, whereby we're playing essentially 5 across the back, has been very, very effective at preventing that. Where Man City absolutely kill you is getting behind you and then pulling the ball back. The cut back and streams of players coming in to bury it. So for us to sort of negate that for most of the game today has been very good indeed. A momentary lapse by Johnson to allow them in, and they didn't miss. But we're on the attack. Again,
right, free kick to West
Ham. Hacking down Lingard again. That last down the left-hand side.
Gentlemen, one at a time, please. We have a free kick, I understand.
Yeah,
from that.
Yeah. So it was some brilliant play, some wonderful passing down the left-hand side. Lingard got cut in. Not an awful lot of contact, if truth be told, but when in Rome, I suppose. And free kick to West Ham, about 30 yards out, left-hand side of the penalty area. And Cresswell crosses in, and it's cleared to the edge of the box by Man City. He'll bring it away now. And
another one, another one of those set pieces gone to waste.
Fornals has stuck a leg across Foden, and Foden's got over it. Fornals is claiming he got the ball. I don't think he did really. But yeah, again, the set pieces that we've been quite good at most of the season, just been a bit lacking today, I'm afraid.
Well, just a moment there on the Fornals challenge.
Yeah,
great place to commit the foul.
Yeah.
If you're going to do it there, deep in the opposition's half still. Yeah, it just stops the counter, stone dead. Dare I say it? That was reminiscent of what Bobby Brown's shoes used to get Everton doing when he was the manager there. Players rotating the fouls, and it's what Guardiola gets his players to do when they start putting the boot in, rotate the fouls, and commit the fouls in a part of a field where it can't hurt you. So well done, Pablo Fornals. He's obviously watched the very best of it, and good bit of defensive play there.
Again, when in Rome.
Yeah.
Yeah. We are in the final 3 minutes of normal time. West Ham need a goal from somewhere to take something from this match. We've played very, very well this afternoon. We've pushed City all the way, but ultimately it looks like ending pointless unless the Hammers, Rio, can pull something out of the hat in the last 3 or 4 minutes, plus whatever's added on.
Yeah, it's not looking likely, but never say never. We've equipped ourselves incredibly well. You know, this game's not been beyond us throughout the whole match. You know, we've more than matched them at times.
Yeah,
we've acquitted ourselves superbly. We've just been undone by a couple of little bits of naivety again. You know, and the things that we really needed to do well, like, as Noam just said, our set pieces. We've been so great for them all season. For them to not come off at the time we really need it, it's disappointing. And again, so another thing you can take away from this game is that West Ham's heart, West Ham's ability is up there with the best at the moment, you know. And also, we've also just discovered that most Spaniards are cheating little monkeys. So,
Manchester City making their final change, by the way. Rodri's just come on for Gundogan. So that's them. That's their hand dealt with from the bench.
No, what do you make of Gundogan's performance today? I mean, he's clearly City's best player this season, but he's been pretty effective today, hasn't he?
Kept quiet, wasn't he? Wasn't allowed to be effective.
Yeah.
Decent crossing, and that's again City struggling to deal with these, and we're pushing. We're pushing for this equaliser. But City doing very well to force us all the way back, and but Rice doing well to wriggle out of being surrounded a little bit there and pushing forward again. Dawson now sort of taking the libero role and pushing forward, and has a nosebleed when he gets past the halfway line and drops back. So, yeah, I mean, we lose this. It won't be for the want of trying. And I said at the start, we want a performance out of this game, and I think we've had a decent one. Say we've got City basically holding on, defending at the moment. So who's out there? So Soufal was out on the right wing, well found by Diop, and Zinchenko comes over to cover for a throw into West Ham. So we're just coming in now. It's the last few seconds of normal time. 4 minutes is the added on time. So I win the sweepstake for that prediction there.
Yes, we are into added on time now. West Ham desperately need a goal from anywhere, from somewhere. Just someone put a toe on the end of it. It's been a bit of a disappointing second half in terms of the stats. West Ham 8 shots to 1 down on the overall statistics. But Pinky, overall, I mean, it's there's still a little bit of time to go. But it's been a really, really strong performance from West Ham, and it'd just be really disappointing, won't it, to sort of come away from here without anything to show for our efforts.
Absolutely, and I think it's a measure of how much we've improved in the last year.
Well played, Soufal.
We're going to lose by the odd goal against Man City, and we're disappointed.
Yeah.
In recent seasons, we've sort of travelled to the Etihad with if we can keep them to 4 or hopefully 3, you'd almost claim a moral victory in that regard. When we've won there in recent times, I think in Slaven's first season, we came away with a 2-1 win, and it was like the Alamo. I'm going to put the comment on the forum today. They battered us. They battered us for the whole second half, and that was Antonio's debut that day. And when he came on as kind of like a ball carrier, trying to just relieve some of the pressure, that was the last free kick. That was the last decent performance, but free kick coming in now, ball launched in, easy claim by Edison.
Far too close to.
But that was the previous occasion when we'd actually put up a good performance against City. So what's that? 5 years ago. But today, this has been our best performance at the Etihad since then. No doubt about it.
Yeah, I suppose you could say all in all, it's been a couple of decent performances against City this season, having taken a point against them at the Olympic Stadium earlier in the year. And it's going to be really disappointing, this one, Noam, isn't it? If we, as Pinky says there, if we don't take something from this, but time's running out now. We're into the final 2 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, assuming that it stays as it is at the moment, we're going to look at this and think, we've been there and we've lost narrowly in the past when, as Pinky says, it's been like the Alamo, but on this one it hasn't, and it's been a case of sort of another free kick to West Ham. Bowen's just been taken out cynically there. He's finally got the yellow card out. It was Bowen's done him. Fernandinho's just got a body checked him into touch. I mean, what will we look at? If we got a point, would it have been unjust? And the answer to that is definitely not. So it's a bit of a consolation. Cross comes in, it's played to the edge of the box, a very weird one. It doesn't get into the box at all, and Man City clear it. But we're going forward again. We've got the last sort of 15 seconds. Cross comes in. It's that was it, I think. It came for a pretty poor free kick, but we worked it back in. Cross goes in to see what's happening, and it's Diop heads it down, and it's just far too far ahead in front of Souček. There's no way he's going to get to the end of that. So,
do we think perhaps Diop should have had a go at goal there, no?
Yeah, I think maybe he was, and it was kind of misdirected.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, rather than
7 yards out.
Yeah, I think he should have had a better go at goal. It's probably what I'm saying. And there's the final whistle. 2-1 to Manchester City. Well, put it this way, BT, I know he scored, but BT gave the man of the match to one of their central defenders, which should tell you something about the fact that we had a fair bit of the game there.
Yeah. That is it. The final whistle has blown at the Etihad Stadium. It has finished Manchester City 2, West Ham United 1. Manchester City opening the scoring on the half-hour mark with Diaz with a header at the far post following a deep De Bruyne cross. West Ham equalising 2 minutes before the half-time interval from Michail Antonio. The sides going in level at the break. But John Stones popping up in the 65th minute to score the only goal of the second half and award all 3 points to the Championship leaders, the Premier League leaders, who escape. Don't know if that's the right word, but it feels a bit like that, with a 2-1 win against West Ham. Noam, your initial post-match thoughts following that pretty much undeserved defeat?
I'm just looking at the players coming down there now, and Soufal was on his haunches, looking like you'd have thought he'd have lost the World Cup final in added time. He looked absolutely devastated. I don't understand why, because that team is. We were worth a point there, I think. I don't think that's going to be over-exaggerating the situation. And I'm betting that Manchester City won't get a tougher game than that they win. So, disappointed with the result. Applaud the performance because it was a good, strong performance. Just leaves us now. I think we're in the situation where we've got to hope Sheffield United do us a favour, which is not something that I want to contemplate. I think I'll turn off the telly for the rest of the weekend and just see where we are Monday morning. But,
disappointing stuff. Yeah. But certainly, Pinky, West Ham certainly not played out the game at all. We were in it until the very final minute. We were the better team by far in the first half. We all felt that, for much of the second half, we were the better team as well. But ultimately, that Antonio chance that hit the post, one or two others, the Diop opportunity right at the end. Against teams like this, you've got to take your chances, and there's a valuable lesson perhaps that the team have learnt today.
Very much so. I mean, we said in the halftime chat that David Moyes just might be saying to Michail Antonio at halftime, take your chances because you should have had a hat trick in the first half. Yeah, and the fact he managed to get one goal rather than two, if not three, ultimately cost us, because you're not going to be on top against Man City for that long. You're just not, because if you are, their manager has got so many options from the bench. You'll just go, you two get off and you two go on. You know, and just consider for a moment, as I say, I've described the two hottest properties in English football, Phil Foden and Declan Rice. Declan Rice is playing every minute of every game since God was a boy and getting run into the ground essentially. And you know, Pep Guardiola is able to rest Phil Foden and say, have the afternoon off. We'll bring you on if we need you, kind of thing. And that's the difference between a club that has got great financial resources and one that's got no financial resources. So today, hugely disappointed with the defeat. In all honesty, Man City were not at their best today. They really weren't. Kevin De Bruyne in the first half in particular, you know, his passing radar was well off its normal standard. But even so, he managed to put in the cross that led to their first goal. But the City weren't great today. But at the same time, I don't want to damn our effort with faint praise. I thought we worked hard. I thought we tried, you know, our very, very best. But the difference ultimately came down to City took their chances. We didn't take ours. And a very brief moment of lapse of concentration by one of our younger players who really let them get in behind and pull the ball back for the second. And that's not to blame young Ben Johnson for our defeat, but when you play Man City, that's all it takes. One moment and they'll punish you. Johnson could make that mistake against a dozen teams in the Premier League and they'd never score. Today, he does it against a team that is, you know, you give them that chance, they're not going to miss. You know, for the first goal, I'm pinning it pretty strongly on Issa Diop. I'm happy to be explained why that's not the case by others, but again, this is the difference. You make mistakes in this sort of end of the table, and when you're playing the likes of Man City, they'll punish you because that's why they are where they are. But you know, much improved compared with recent visits to the Etihad, and the fact that I think we're all bitterly disappointed now with the result is a testimony to how far we've gone. And I think as long as Moyes can pick him up and say, do you know what? You've just given, you know, the champions elect a really good game of football there, lads. So, you know, who have we got next up? Who's next up?
Leeds.
Leeds.
9 days' time.
Yeah, so dirty Leeds. We face them. Nothing to fear, really. Give them a game as well. And if we play as well against Leeds as we did today, we'll beat them.
It's a 14th straight Premier League win for Manchester City, the 500th win for Pep Guardiola in his top flight career from all the clubs he's managed. Manchester City, interesting to listen to what you're saying there, Pinky, talking about the disparity between the players available to each manager. I think Manchester City's bench, if you look at the fees paid for them, comes in at something like 380 million pounds for players that didn't even start the game, which just gives some indication again of the difference between the two squads. But Rio, West Ham have put in a terrific performance today. Ultimately, it's resulted in no points whatsoever. But in terms of pride, and as Pinky says, we usually go, in recent years, we've gone to the Etihad, to the City of Manchester Stadium, whatever you wish to call it, and come away with a hiding on each and every occasion. It wasn't the case today, was it? And we were unlucky. And who knows, a bit more luck, better connection. Issa Diop goes up for that chance in the 3rd minute of added on time and scores what would probably have been a deserved equaliser for West Ham. But what are you thinking, reflecting on the last 95 minutes?
Looking at the way that we lined up, we're missing 3 of our key players. We're missing our main keeper. We're missing the best centre-half we've had for the last 2 or 3 seasons. They're 2 big players for us. And they could have made the world of difference today.
Yeah.
The goals that we conceded weren't down to defensive frailties. They're down to a little bit of class from De Bruyne in terms of delivery, all right, you can say that Diop was caught out of position a little bit. You could have said that Randolph could have come to claim the ball and punch it away. But at the end of the day, it was a world-class delivery, which would have undone most defences. The second goal, a bit of lapse in concentration from a naive young defender. Played the man on the side within paying the price. That City side, as we just said, have spent absolute fortunes on their team. They didn't get their goals from their attacking wealth today. They got them for two centre-halves. Two occasions where plays broke down and they've kind of regrouped and scored from kind of unexpected sources, unexpected kind of positions. Now, this is the West Ham side who, not 18 months ago, looked dead on their feet after 25, 30 minutes.
Yep.
And routinely destroyed. We would have gone to the Etihad and been absolutely torn apart. Today, we've more than matched them. Well, we deserve to come away with at least a point now. So we're going to go into a tough run of games. But instead of being disheartened by their performance, I think our players would take great stock from it. I think they come away thinking, hang on, we just played a side that's won 19 games on the bounce, playing in the form of their lives, and we could have beaten them today. Like, it's not a morale dropping defeat. It's a morale boosting one for me, because our players know how well we played, how well we've acquitted ourselves today, that we can go on in the next run of games. Okay, they're a little bit on the tough side, but there's nothing to fear. And I think it's proved that we are fourth, not through fortune, but through the fact that we have got a talented squad that works incredibly hard for each other. And it's got a lot of self-belief and a lot of confidence. I've got nothing but praise for our team today. Nothing at all but praise.
Yeah, I suppose the good thing is it was, I think as Rio says, there is absolutely no shame in defeat for West Ham this afternoon. We put in a terrific performance and just fell short, by one goal. And it's been a fantastic. I mean, everything, we got everything right. I think David Moyes tactically got his team spot on. His team selection was given the personnel available, absolutely correct. And it's just one of those things where sometimes it just doesn't go your way, as we said. Set pieces are known, something we touched on in the game, and that didn't sort of really work out for us, did it, today? But before we come on to that, just want to give you a couple of stats from a West Ham perspective. Declan Rice, his game by numbers today, 100% of his tackles won. Every single tackle he went in for, he won, which is phenomenal. 91% pass accuracy, 6 ball recoveries and 3 interceptions, one of which, of course, as we pointed out at halftime, led to the goal. Noam, how good was Declan Rice today? And are we right to say? Can we feasibly say he's now a world-class player?
I think the phrase world-class is kind of bandied about a little bit too freely these days. But he's certainly in a league where at the moment it's awash with talent from around the world. Mm-hmm. He's not out of place, is he? No,
not at all.
He's looked for me one of the best players on that pitch today, and that's a pitch containing a bench containing £1 billion worth of talent, and he's not looked out of place in there at all. I don't know what world class is. I mean, it's something we've not seen tested, has it? I mean, he's got a few England caps under his belt, where again he's not looked out of place. We'll find out a bit more this summer how that looks when he's playing in the Euros, which hopefully will go ahead. So, yeah, world class. Again, I guess it's largely a matter of definition. I can see why some people would say that. I'm perhaps a bit old-fashioned, and it takes a little bit more to earn that epithet. You have to do it on the world stage.
Yeah, but I think the point, I mean, you talk about the world stage, but isn't the world stage now the Premier League? As you said, the very best players in the world are playing in the, in the English top flight, and Rice has not looked out of place week in, week out against the best players from Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea. Every week we've been saying this season, he's been phenomenal week in, week out. So I think that's where I'm sort of coming to that. And I do appreciate what you're saying. Traditionally you'd look at the World Cup finals for a player to go and shine, for him to be placed in such high regard.
But I've got absolutely no doubts that when he's called up to perform on that stage, it's world class. You do it at international level, you do it at league level.
Yeah.
And he's barely been tested at any level above us at the moment. And we know what he's capable of, and certainly on that basis, he's right up there. But as I say, I'm not trying to be sort of old gitty here or anything like that. It's just that to me, that's why that's what I look at world class. Is you'll see him do it sort of. We see him do it to Manchester City. A few weeks time, England got a game coming up, haven't we? We've got some games. We've got the Euros coming up, and you'll see him strutting around in the Euros wherever they end up being played, and that'll sort of be the confirmation of it. You'll see, if they're not already sniffing around, you'll see the likes of Bayern having a look around and sort of looking at the euro sterling conversion rate. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely that. I mean, as I say, I thought he was outstanding again today, and he's been pretty much outstanding virtually every game we've played. And whenever we come to do the man of the match, the temptation is to kind of give it to someone else because we know he's magnificent week in, week out. So we'll give it to somebody else this week. But I mean, today they've given it to John Stones, which I think is so he scored a goal. And that's just about that's all I can remember Stones doing, really. I mean, it's so they're giving it for that. Whereas Rice, every tackle he made, he won.
Yeah.
Could John Stones say that today? I doubt it.
Well, look, I mean, talking about statistics as we were just a minute ago, just going back to that quickly. Another potential candidate for man of the match was Jesse Lingard. And looking at his stats today, I'm told that he had a direct hand in 5 of West Ham's 9 shots at goal today, including the goal. So another decent performance from Jesse. But Pinky, we just quickly on. Let's run through the final match stats, and then we'll look at the XG map, which is very interesting actually today. Possession-wise, now we thought that Man City might be somewhere between 75 and 80%. So actually massive credit to West Ham. Possession-wise, Man City at the final whistle, 63% to West Ham's 37. So almost twice as much as, you might expect for the Hammers. Shots, West Ham were leading 7-2 at halftime. The final shots tally 10 for Man City to 9 for West Ham. But the important stat really there is that on target, both sides managed to produce 3 shots at goal on target. Now, to confine a team like Man City to 3 shots on target is, it's phenomenal from West Ham. Man City 4 corners to West Ham's 2. But just looking at the XG stats, now this is estimated at present. This isn't confirmed, but I'm reading that the rough summary gives Man City an expected goals tally from today's game of 0.8, while West Ham have come out with an expected goals figure of 1.7. So that in itself just tells you how well West Ham played today. KD Graphics it is who I look at for these, and they've remarked that it's been forever since Manchester City were outplayed like this, and they still won the game anyway. So I mean, wherever you look, Pinky, everyone's giving West Ham huge credit for the way they've played today, and just disappointing again, isn't it, that we've come away with nothing?
Yeah,
and credit, of course.
If I thought for a moment the chairman would grasp those stats and actually recognise now that to go into the second half of the season without a recognised striker on the club's books, the folly that could be if we finish in 5th place this season or 6th, because City will know. Guardiola's on the screen now. I think no one's probably listening in, but City will know they've got away with it today.
Yeah.
That's the classic game you get away with on the way to winning the league, where the opposition really have given you a game where they deserve something, but they've gone away with nothing. And they'll be sitting in their dressing room now going, chuffing Nora, lads. We've got away with that one, but we'll take it. And West Ham United, our lads will be getting on the minibus to head south, because you know what? The squad is that small. We don't need the big coach now. And then maybe that's part of the financial master plan. But our players will be getting on the coach going, we should have put them to bed in the first half, when we had the chance.
Yeah.
And I'm not exactly calling Antonio out for it, but it's kind of like the chance where I said in commentary, you've got to hit the target. That was the one for me. We go ooh and ah when it clips the post and goes away. I'm not interested in hitting the post. From 12 yards, hit the target.
Yeah.
And that's what, if Aguero had spun on a sixpence in the same circumstances, that is a goal, because he would not miss the target.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the difference. And that's when you've got a striker who scores 180 Premier League goals for Man City, and a converted wide midfielder, what we describe Antonio as.
Mm.
So for me, again, we've had the better goal scoring opportunities. But we touched on Declan Rice, and you were asking Noam if he's world class, and Noam was doing his bit as the elder statesman, and I've seen genuine world class in 1952 and all the rest of it. Rice is getting there, because we touched on it earlier. We are denying other teams good goal scoring opportunities. So between the personnel we've got on the pitch, the coaching staff, the tactics, it's working. And I'm not sure necessarily which part is the most effective.
Yeah.
But we're stopping the opposition giving us a caning, for want of a better phrase. We haven't been caned by anyone, and certainly not that lot from North London. And that's down to, as I say, a combination of the personnel, the tactics. I think Rice plays a big part, and I think Souček does. But I just think we look really solid defensively at the moment. And the tragedy is to say today, they put the screen up, City's last 20 games. No one scored twice against them in the last 20 games. No one. Zip. No one has scored 2 goals against Man City in the last 20 games. Yeah.
Says it
so
all. Yeah.
Again, we touched on it. To concede the goals we did, I don't think they were classic City goals. I think they look at it and go across from deep. Okay, they're taking the chance. The one, the second goal, I thought was more of a typical City goal. But we're looking at that now, and I just hope that come May, we don't look back on today and go, first half away at the Etihad, that was the moment that actually we had the chance. But I fear it might be.
Okay. Well, of course, time will tell, but I'm just seeing another estimated XG stat coming, actually, Pinky, based on what we were saying there. Man City, a revised stat of 0.82. West Ham coming in at 2.03 now. I'm not quite sure how much, credence to put on that, given that there wasn't really many clear-cut chances, were there? I mean, we had the goal, of course, Antonio hitting the post. You might look at the cross for Dawson, in which he took the keeper out, the one to Antonio earlier on in the game when he failed to... the cross, wasn't it, from Souček that he put across? And of course, the big one, I suppose, is the one at the end, Diop. Although I've just read someone state that he felt the cross was just behind Diop and he couldn't wrap his head around it properly. I guess we'll have to look at that again.
Right. Come on.
That was his wife, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. And let's stop making excuses for players who aren't quite good enough. Because do you know what? We're not going to advance up the table if we keep doing that.
Yeah.
And Rio touched on it. We didn't have our first choice keeper today, and we didn't have our first choice centre back today.
Well, there's a point. There's a question. If Angelo Ogbonna is playing in that game, does he score that equaliser at the end? We'll never know, of course. But
I'd certainly say that Man City wouldn't have got their first goal. you know.
Yeah.
And I think the other aspect today, you look at it, Johnson, you know, I was a little bit critical of him, but he's big enough and brave enough and honest enough to play a game on the wrong flank today. So, you know, if we're looking for encouraging signs, you know, we've got a very young fullback who's saying, do you know what? Yes, Mr. Moyes, I'll play today. You know, I'm on the wrong flank, but do you know what? I'll give it the best shot I've got. So,
Yeah,
you know, so we're missing a couple of key players, and it's a little bit of make, do, and mend. But what a job our coaching staff and manager are doing to have us where we are in the league with such a small squad. And you're just thinking, you know, if David Sullivan's sitting at home now watching this, you know, although he's probably got the Cardiff City game on, but, you know, he'll be saying, why isn't Mick McCarthy giving the post-match interview? But if David Sullivan is watching this, why didn't you back the manager in the January window? You've sold Seb Haller. Yeah, we know that deal was in the offing from as long ago as October. Yeah. And we haven't put enough money into the club to do it. And I can't help but feeling, you know, I'm looking at the City sort of like advertising board now. We've got Visit Abu Dhabi. I know the Arsenal do the Visit Rwanda. Come on, West Ham. How about a Visit Plaistow? We want a Visit Plaistow advert up there. Okay. You know, let's go to full West Ham. You know, if anyone at the club's got a sense of humour, they would do that. Yeah. Why not? Visit Green Street. Yeah.
They'll not be visit the club shop and spend your cash. That's what they'll be doing.
Yes.
Rio, you know, we've touched on it there. Just the little things didn't really go right for West Ham. Pinky saying that, you know, if we'd have been a bit braver in January and brought in a top class striker, you know, that Antonio chance falls to, you know, a poacher or someone, you know, with a natural talent for you know, scoring goals in those situations. We've said it before, haven't we? You know, Manchester United in the cup, we looked at Odebeko having to come on in the final. Well, actually, it wasn't the final few minutes, was it? It was for the bulk of for the match. After, you know, we were left with Yarmolenko having to go off. Is it a case of the chickens coming home to roost here for the board, and the fact that, you know, their perceived penny pinching is now costing West Ham in terms of points and results?
Potentially, but who would have thought that we'd be in full position this time of season? No one would have predicted that whatsoever. Everyone was thinking 15th, 16th, possibly a little bit higher. You know, a little bit of a gamble, a little bit of forward thinking could propel us into the Champions League, and they can make an absolute bomb out of that. Because, as we've said before, money is the be-all and end-all for certain people who are involved with our club. In terms of performance and personnel today, we're talking fine margins against vast chasms, because it's only a couple of little lapses of concentration, a couple of little errors. But look at the financial gulf between us and City. You know, you've said they're benched £330 million worth of talent. And that had a youth prospect in there as well called Phil Foden, who I think would be worth at least 100 million, if not 150 in today's market. So you're not talking nearly £500 million worth of talent on the bench. No? What do we have? In our starting lineup, we had a young left back who's played barely 10, 15 games. We had an on-loan defender from Watford who, I think, when we tried to get him in bring him in, there was a talk of a £3 million deal to make his transfer permanent. The most expensive player on the pitch, in terms of transfer fee paid by us, is like £24 million. City spend that regularly at least 3 times a year on the rogue full-backs and centre-backs, and they still don't know their best defensive setup.
Yeah.
So it's a very fine margin that we lost today. There's a financial gulf which is like beyond belief. You know, our current board haven't got the financial ability to cope with anything like that. We're punching well above our weight, and we're doing it in a manner that is incredibly admirable. But a little bit of foresight, a little bit of gamble, a little bit of belief in the management and the actual team itself. Could have propelled ourselves into the Champions League this season.
Yeah.
And that's where the riches are. Now, one season in the Champions League could reinvigorate our club completely. But there's something lacking somewhere. And it's not in terms of playing staff. It's not in terms of coaching staff. It's certainly not in terms of support. We all know we're lacking as a club.
Yeah.
And it's the one place that we shouldn't be.
Okay. Well, we'll take a look at what that support has got to say in just a minute. We'll do a roundup of the Blue Moon Forum from the Manchester City perspective with Pinky, and then we'll come to Rio for a look at the KUMB.com forum match thread to see what Hammers fans are saying. West Ham personnel have been saying things since the final whistle. Naomi's going to bring us up to date. Just quickly, Declan Rice has just taken to social media to say that I'm very proud of the way the lads competed and played today. We were so unlucky not to come away with anything. On to the next game we go. And David Moyes has spoken to the BBC. I'm not going to read that out because I'm going to leave that one to Noam, because I believe, Noam, you've been listening to the full interview with Moyes to get his reaction.
Yeah, we've had both managers. Guardiola was actually fairly complimentary. Said that it was hard work and they had trouble containing Fornals, Lingard and Antonio, particularly in the first half. I think the comment which has come up here, it says, after 45 minutes today, we realised we weren't going to paint anything beautiful. A nice analogy there. Moyes came on again, was very pleased with the performance. Was bemoaning the fact that a couple of times in the first half, the final pass where we might have scored or might have been in with a chance wasn't quite there. Wasn't getting carried away as ever. The end of the interview was full of stuff about, I'm not going to promise stuff I can't deliver, but if we carry on playing like that, we'll be a lot nearer the top than we will be the bottom. And there's still a bit of concern about Randolph, who he mentioned the fact that he's only just gone back to training over the last week or so.
Yeah.
And there was a bit of concern that there may be a problem, as we saw with I think Dawson went and took a goal kick, didn't he, at one point?
Yes. Yeah.
It seems okay. He didn't mention Fabianski's latest position, but overall he was pleased with the performance, disappointed with the results, and having signed John Stones for Everton as a youngster, he just wished him well and just said, but he wished he hadn't scored today.
Good stuff. David Moyes, like all of us, proud of the way the Hammers played today, even if eventually they did fall just short of being able to take a point. Interesting, I've just seen news come in, sort of an ex-Hammer related news. Jack Wilshere has been sent off for fighting this afternoon while playing for Bournemouth against Watford. Two players sent off, João Pedro and Wilshere. It was actually in the 7th minute of added on time. I'm not quite sure. There was a bit of a scramble, one or two players getting involved, and I think Wilshere has swung a punch or something. But anyway, he's had his marching orders down there.
Someone nick his walking stick or something.
Yeah, and there's a huge melee at the end of the game. Bournemouth winning that 1-0 anyway in that big game at the top of the Championship. But anyway, it's enough about Jack Wilshere. We haven't got to put up with him anymore and his injury woes. But anyway, interesting. He's been pretty much fit since going to Bournemouth, but that's another story. Let's turn towards the forums now and have a look and see what the two sets of fans are saying in the wake of this afternoon's 2-1 win for Manchester City. Let's start with the Blue Moon Forum, and Mr. Palermo has been keeping an eye on that for us this afternoon. What are the thoughts of the City fans up there, Pinky? Are they as equally as relieved as their manager? They didn't see anything particularly beautiful painted on the pitch today either.
I think slim pickings for the opposition view this week, Graham. I mean, it really is a group of supporters that know they've got away with it today. Yeah. Quite a few comments on here. Here's one here. West Ham look decent. Love them to get top 4. Blue won, biggest win of the season. Yeah. So you're not going to say that if you've just played some easy beats. So the general view from the lads here is, do you know what? They've nicked it. They know they've nicked it. Big win today. Too many changes, but ultimately 3 points. Big win. That's the season's decider. This is almost sounding like they've won a cup final, if you know what I mean. So they absolutely know that they've got away with it today. There's no gloating on here whatsoever. This, dare I say it, you probably wouldn't even bother with an opposition view this week. It's, in fact, most weeks when we're on KUMB, I'm not reading such nice things about West Ham United as I'm reading on Blue Moon at the minute. So,
surely there must be one of them coming up with the oh so hilarious epithet wet spam, as if they're the first person ever to have said that oh so hilarious thing.
No. I mean, here's another one. All credit to West Ham. Well played. This was our toughest game in a long time. So.
Oh, come on, moan about something. Throw us a bone here, guys.
One thing here. There you go. Souček, good but dirty. I'm not so sure about that.
That's it. Have him. Yeah, outside.
Slim pickings indeed to this weekend by the looks of things.
Yeah, but in general terms, I'm struggling to find any negative comments against us here today. This is a group of supporters who maybe a spell in the third division teaches you humility, and they were down there not so many moons ago, and so they know what good looks like and they know what bad looks like, and they haven't seen a bad West Ham United performance today. That is for certain. Good win against tough opposition, and all the way through a hard fought victory. It really is absolutely probably the most respectful comments I've seen about our team all season. No doubt about it.
Good to see. Couple of comments before we move on to the West Ham view from a couple of ex-players. Ian Bishop, who of course has a foot in both stables, said on social media after the game, it was a great performance from West Ham. David Moyes got it tactically spot on, but City were, as always, formidable. And Anton Ferdinand, former Hammer, of course, himself, says the fact that the players and the staff looked and are disappointed shows just how far we've come as a club. Credit to David Moyes, his staff and the players. Come on, you Irons. Are the West Ham fans as complimentary as Anton Ferdinand Rio on the KUMB.com forum match thread, or is the disappointment sort of beginning to seep through a little bit now?
No, there's a lot of pride from our fans. There's a lot of heart. There's a lot of hope. It's a lot of positivity in defeat. And the praise coming from the forum is an absolute breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
Just a few examples. I'm Rhino. Great effort from the lads. It's such a shame we didn't get a point out of it. I just wish we had made the subs 10 minutes earlier. Otherwise, I'm proud of the manager of the team. Bubbles 1966 has put, when you consider their standards, this was a very good performance indeed. Our levels dropped with fatigue and it's cost us in the end. 10 shots to 9, nearly 40% possession. Been a while, not only since we competed that well, but looked after the ball in possession at their place. SH has put, I think it's fair to say that this is their toughest game on their winning run. That should tell you something about where we are as a team at present. Unlucky West Ham. Cardiff, here we come. Soufal crouched down. Head in his hands, looked like he lost the cup final. Antonio looked incredibly annoyed. Diop shaking his head at the end of the game. It shows we have winners that don't like losing. We matched Manchester City toe to toe, and I think we would have got a result if Ogbon and Fabianski had started today. We must keep this side together at all costs. Now the quality striker this summer. We keep fighting for our top 4 spot, as when it comes to effort and fight, we deserve the Champions League place. Great performance, and some of our football today was pure quality. Sendo has put great effort today. We limited and frustrated Manchester City. They looked dangerous going forward and might have come away with a point for but for Diop's 50p head. We've certainly shown we're capable of competing with the top sides at the moment. We're just lacking that little bit of quality in the final third. Eggs and nuts. I can't complain at all here. Overall, fantastic performance against a team that cost how much to assemble? 1.5 billion? And could well mop up this season on all fronts. On another day, Diop smashes that header and it's 2-2. We definitely did not disgrace ourselves. Joffrey has put very proud today. Only comment would perhaps becoming the subs coming on 2 minutes earlier. Can understand with the 9-day rest coming up, not to let them run through. Love Suchik and Fornells have made such a difference. Yeah, all there is on the forum is absolute praise. Another thing, Parker's here just to finish off. Guardiola and the Stones were incredibly complimentary about our team in their conference after the game. We gave them a great game today and came close to getting an equaliser at the end. The next 3 games are important, but we can take points from all of them. There's a lot of positivity shining through the forum, despite the fact it's a defeat.
Well, isn't that a refreshing surprise to read? But no, I mean, I think it's an accurate representation of what we've seen today, isn't it? You know, West Ham have given City a game like no one has for quite some time. And I think that's also borne out going back to our, I know Noam's not a particular fan of them, but our expected goal stat out of Manchester City's last 27 fixtures in all competitions, only 3 teams, including West Ham today, have out XG'd them, if that's a term. Again, another indication of how well West Ham have played today. Noam, you know, we've sort of touched on this. It's been disappointing at the end of the day in terms of West Ham falling to defeat for only the second time in 2021. But let's not lose sight of the fact that in the league, I should stress, let's not lose sight of the fact that we are still 4th in the Premier League, and we can only be overtaken if Chelsea win this week. And of course, they've not got a very easy game themselves. They're at home to Manchester United, who are, of course, in second place. And although there's 13 points between them and Man City now, you know, they will still feel that they've got a chance to take their first title for some time. So, you know, it's certainly Yes, yeah, tomorrow,
right.
yeah.
Okay. For some reason, I had it in my head that they were away at Sheffield United. Why have I got that wrong?
It's tomorrow afternoon. They play at Stamford Bridge, but
that's cheered me up a bit then.
Yeah. So the point being that there's still a very good chance that with Liverpool, etc., 5-6 points adrift, that we could still be in the top 4, having had this this really tough game today.
Yeah, I mean, I could quite easily see Man United beating Chelsea.
Yeah,
and I said this last week, and I was a little bit perturbed looking at the forum during the week, and there's people looking at the fixtures and wondering where we're going to end up. And every now and then there's a little bit of sanity comes in there and says, well, I'm still hoping we're going to get top half and things like that. But
yeah,
the way I'm looking at these is I'm just going to sort of look at the league table after the conclusion of each week's fixtures, see where we are and go, oh, that's nice, and then forget about the league table and until the same time next week. I think which is pretty much what David Moyes is saying after every game. It's like, I'm not going to say top 4, he said, but we're there by merit. I mean, you look at that match today, that looked like the team at the top of the league against the team in 4th. And there were times when you could have said, well, which one is which? But, we're there on merit. It's not a case of we've sort of walked through a wrong door somewhere and suddenly we're in 4th place. And so, let's just go to each game, see where we are at the end of it, and then go to the next game. Yes, it's taking each game as it comes. And yes, it's a cliche, but it's a good cliche. It's there for a reason.
Well, yeah, exactly.
And, if you start looking at the team you've got the week after next, suddenly you find the team that you've got this week beats you. It's a sensible policy, and I think Mr. Moyes has got. I mean, not only is he saying that, I think he's got that sort of instilled into everybody's head. So, that it's precisely where we need to be. Let other people worry about what they're doing.
Yeah.
And just concentrate on our own game.
Yeah, good stuff.
You know, and one of the things, I mean, Pinky was talking about it, Rio was mentioning it about, you know, wouldn't it be a shame if we didn't finish quite as high as we might have done due to a lack of investment in the squad? You know, we've done well this season. Yes, we've got injuries and we've got key players injured at the moment. But, you know, by and large, we've kept the bulk of what you'd like to see selected first team pretty much fit, without sort of 6 or 7 or 8 injuries at the same time, which has been the norm for us over the last few seasons.
Yeah.
And that just gives an idea of the potential. If we can keep a decent first team squad together, you know, we're 4th at the moment. There's your potential. The problem I've got with what we've got at the moment is that, you know, we've been lucky with injuries this year, notwithstanding Antonio and Masuaku. Will we be where we are now this time next season if we've got 4 or 5 or 6 players out and no sort of depth? I mean, we had, okay, maybe it's due to late injuries, but we had 2 goalkeepers on the bench again today, which maybe because of the people travelling and the late call off for Fabianski. That was basically all the players we had there, but it does worry me when I see that, and you know, and that we've got 2 goalkeepers on the bench in a season where we're not having a bad time with injuries. What's it going to be like if we do?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a very valid point, but of course we can only speculate as to what the future holds. But sticking with the present for now, Pinky, you know, as Noam's been talking about there, we're still 4th in the Premier League. It's been a disappointing defeat today, but unless Chelsea pull off a really decent performance against Manchester United at Stamford Bridge tomorrow, we're going to go into that Leeds game, or at least next weekend, because everyone else will have played by the time we play on Monday night, 9 days from now. We are still 4th in the table, and you know that's it's fantastic, isn't it? What a brilliant season we are having at West Ham.
Yeah, we are, and you know, and it's nice to watch, and I think at times we are nice to watch. You know, if you get the drift. We've lost today against a City team below their best, but we said a week ago today was a free punch.
Yeah.
You know, no one's getting anything against City at the minute in their current run of form. So there you go. We've given a very good game this afternoon, and we've come out with a narrow defeat. And hey ho, we'll look at the paper hopefully tomorrow morning and we'll still be 4th. We've had worse weekends. You know, I mean, let's be honest. You know, I've not had to travel very far to games to get turned over at the likes of Crystal Palace, you know, or Fulham or wherever it may be. So a narrow defeat away at Man City and wake up tomorrow in 4th. You know, if you'd done a straw poll at KUMB, you know, back in August, would you take the first week in March being in 4th spot, having played Man City twice already this season? Yeah. I think you'd have had 100% yes, please. Yeah, and that's the measure of the season on a minuscule budget, because you know, whilst we're talking about an absence of signings, we haven't really touched on how much the wage bill will have been slashed this year by David Moyes. And you know, if the chairman is not on the phone to David Moyes every Monday morning going, "You're doing a great job, David, you really are doing a great job," yeah, then he really ought to be. Because I'm willing to bet that since August, we've been running with one of the lower wage bills in the Premier League, certainly in the top half of the Premier League. And so all the money that was wasted in the Pellegrini era, when I think somehow he managed to persuade the chairman to get a bit overexcited and allow him to spend big on 1 or 2 players that didn't come good. I think we're recovering from that position, and if the supporters are allowed back in the grounds next season, and I still personally think that's quite a big if. If they are, what I don't want to be hearing from David Sullivan is, "Oh, we haven't got any money because you know COVID and this, that, and the other." You know, we've slashed the wage bill, we've sold players. We did have, an equity raise last June where they put £30 million in. I don't want to hear the chairman tell us yet again in the summer there's still no money for players.
Yeah.
Because this manager, his coaching staff, and this squad of players have 100% done their bit. They've done their bit. They've competed, they've challenged, they've performed. We're in 4th place in March with the thinnest squad in the top flight. And if the chairman can't find the money to actually fund a decent transfer window come the summer, then the chairman really has got to go. I mean, there's no two ways about it. And people are probably laughing at home now, going, he says the same thing every week, but it's true. If you haven't got the readies to compete in this league, sell to somebody who has, because that's the name of the game here. You're just clinging on, hoping for a miracle every single season isn't realistic. We know it's a rich man's sport. We know you're competing against sovereign wealth funds and huge American interests. Well, go find an American investor and sell the club, because do you know what? David Moyes is working miracles this season. 4th spot, no striker. Seriously, that's manager of the season territory. Yeah. I don't think Chairman Sullivan's going to get chairman of the season anytime soon, is he? And the difference is Pep Guardiola there today. He's got hundreds of millions of pounds worth of players on his bench.
Yep.
Yeah. That's a club that's well funded. Yeah. The chap that's just gone into Chelsea, again, well-funded club, albeit on a sea of debt, but Abramovich is underwriting all of that. West Ham United, we've sold the silverware, we've sold the ground, we've sold everything. Yeah. And yet we still turn out on a Saturday afternoon without a striker. And that's not down to the manager, that's not down to the players. That is the chairman. And I'll be really interested to see early business in the summer. I want to see a top draw striker arrive at West Ham United Football Club. And I mean arrive in June in time to start pre-season training July the 1st. I don't want to see this rocking up on August the 10th.
Yeah. Will one be enough, Pinky, do you think?
Well, what would be a start?
Rio says 3.
I mean, I'm not particularly greedy, one would be a start.
Yeah.
Two would be better. But we're going to fall into that classic trap again of, Angelo, of 33. He's going to need replacing. Issa Diop, I'm not a particular fan. I don't think he's going to make it. He's going to need replacing. Craig Dawson's had a terrific season, but he's over 30. And if we go to Watford now and say, name your price, they'll go £15 million, please. But for a 31-year-old, what would this time last year would have been called journeyman centre-back. Aaron Cresswell, wrong side of 30. Mark Noble out of contract in the summer, obviously wrong side of 30. I'm not being funny. I mean, Jesus was on the pitch for Man City the second half this afternoon. But actually, as we get towards Easter, it's David Moyes that is resembling more like, he can turn miracles. And that's the long and the short of it is everyone is performing to their maximum at West Ham United, bar one person. And that's the bloke that owns the majority shares.
Yeah, very much so, very much so. But let's come back to the top 4 position, Rio. I mean, Pinky's called it right. I think it was a free punch this weekend as far as West Ham were concerned. We weren't expected to go to the Etihad Stadium and get anything. Ultimately, that's been proved correct because we've come away with a defeat, encouraging nonetheless. But we're still in the top 4. And, as we said, unless Chelsea put on a performance tomorrow, that's where we're going to be going into next weekend's fixtures as well. So haven't got much to complain about, have we really?
Absolutely nothing to complain about, We're walking away from a defeat against the most informed side in Europe, who just that little smidgen away from creating it's a world record, isn't it? For 24 games on the bounce is the
24
the
apparently is the record, of consecutive wins, and they're on 20 now,
Yeah, so they're not far away from that.
Yeah.
And we more than matched them today, And like I said, the gulf in financial disparity is just enormous. We can take nothing but heart from today, The fact that our players are on the pitch after the game, despondent and unhappy that we've not got a point here, that's a positive for me because they've got belief, they've got heart, they've got passion, they've got fight. How many times have we seen West Ham's sides turn up to places like this, get absolutely stuffed and just walk off the pitch without a care in the world, not even a cursory wave to the supporters at times? Because I've seen it enough in my lifetime, and it sickens me. To see a bunch with such heart and such passion, it means the world. I think all of us here would agree. All you want from a West Ham side is go out and give their all. That's all most supporters want. For the players to display the kind of passions and heart and will to fight that we have. And we've seen it so often in the past that they don't match that. This group have. And that's tantamount, that's an absolute, it's an endorsement on not only the players themselves, but the way the manager and the coaching staff has got that instilled in them, Everyone believes, everyone wants to fight for this club. The new incumbents in the last year or so, Suchek and Sufeld have been off the pitch apparently amazing and really invigorated and bonded his side, helped bond them together. Jared Bowen's coming from the lower league side. He's working his heart out. He's had his little illness. He's been a lot of form lately, but there's no doubt that man wants to play football and wants to win. So what David Moyes is doing to this side is exactly what the supporters have been crying out for. It's just the absolute crying shame that we're not here in the ground to share it with them and support them along the way. People say that we're doing so well because the fans aren't in the stadiums. Because we all know that our home ground isn't the most conducive atmosphere for players to flourish at times. But can you imagine our away support this season? It would have been absolutely immense. I mean, Pinky goes more away than I can at the moment. Zone 2. And that they know, they would reinforce my belief that our away support would not only have absolutely lapped every minute of this season up, we would have probably, I don't know, how can I put it? Hopefully it would have seeped through to the home games too, like, and kind of reinvigorated us and forced us on even further, Yeah. It's about time we made that stadium a fortress rather than a place that everyone dreads to go, like, in terms of being a West Ham fan. Because normally away teams go there and lap it up and thrive on the anxiety that we create in that stadium. The way we're performing away from home, the belief the players have, it's got to filter through eventually. I'm just really gutted that we can't enjoy the fruits of the labour.
Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? That it's almost like a hark back to 85, 86 in some ways when, unless you were at the games, you couldn't really see what was going on because so many games weren't televised. It's kind of like the opposite.
To be fair, most home games, I can't really see what's going on because we're that far from the pitch.
Well, there is that to it, of course, as well.
But there is the problem. And, I'm coming in on this because I had a conversation with a pal of mine earlier this week about, is the absence of fans what it's all about? And the comments that a number of sort of, the talking heads that you get on the TV, Martin Keown and what have you, West Ham are really benefiting because their fans aren't there criticising them every week. Well, do you know what, Martin Keown? Shut up, mate, because frankly, you are not watching football week in, week out in an athletic stadium, when the club were told the supporters would hate it. So if we are negative during home games, whose fault's that? And it isn't the supporters. And I've had enough of this nonsense about West Ham United supporters getting blamed because of the atmosphere at the London Stadium. It's the stadium that's the problem, and that's down to the chairman, his partner, and Karen Brady. They made that call, and I'm up to here with it now. Our supporters getting called out by muppets like Martin Keown.
Jamie Redknapp as well last week, making the same claims on, was it BT or Sky? But no, you're coming in on that point quickly. You're on mute, my friend. We can't hear you, I think. That's the one. I still can't hear you. We still can't hear you. Are you actually talking? He's having us on, isn't he? I think down there. No, not happening, and we're not having you on. Honestly, we can't hear a thing. According to my side, you're not on mute, so it must be an issue with your side. I don't know if you want to reboot, start again, and come back in a second. But I'll go to Pinky quickly because we haven't done it yet. But I'd like to hear your nominations for man of the match today. There was a few players, potentially up for that particular award. So, Pinky, as I said, we'll come to you first. Who was your man of the match on the day?
I'll give it to Rice. I mean, and I know we touched on, we can't give it to him every week. Well, actually, if he is the best player that we've got every week, then yeah, I will give it to him every week. And I thought Jesse Lingard had a very good game today. I thought Pablo Fornals had a huge match for us today. But overall, the one player in our team who you would say would get in the Man City team, and then against some very tough opposition and competition in that team, I think would be Declan Rice. I thought his contribution today was absolutely top drawer, really, really top drawer. And I touched on it in commentary, his two-footedness, where he makes himself acres of space, for a so-called defensive midfielder. It's not particularly a description I like. I think he's a midfielder, and I think he's outstanding. And for my money today, I thought he was our man of the match. I thought Rice was absolutely supreme today. Okay, brilliant. No, have we got you on audio now?
Can you hear me, Mother?
We can hear you perfectly loud and clear. In case you missed that there, we're touching on your Man of the Match awards for today because we haven't done that yet. Did you want to come back to that other point first of all?
Well, the only point I was going to raise with, if you ever get on TalkSport and get to talk to these people who start telling you how you should and shouldn't react in a stadium and all that, just ask them one question. When was the last time they paid money to go and watch a football match?
Yeah.
When was the last time they got up at 4 a.m. to get a train to go to somewhere like bloody Burnley? When was the last time they did that? If they turn around and they said, "Yeah, we did it last week" or something, then they might have the right to have a chat to you about that. But people who sit there and they get paid to go and sit in the studio or sit behind glass and all that, telling me what I should be doing in a football stadium. I mean, Keown, I wouldn't mind if Keown was actually any good when he was on the pitch. But people who were third-rate players, Andy Townsend, only got an international cap because his gran had a pint of Guinness once. I'm sorry, I'm not having it from these people. So,
okay.
I'm a little bit
well and very well made.
Before I go on to man the match, just a point of housekeeping. I disappeared for a little while, which is probably why I had the sound problems. To take a phone call, which I'd like to share the contents of the other with the three of you offline when we finish. So once we're not live, could we stay on for a second or two?
All right. What, you're not going to ask me what am I wearing, are you?
Not this time, Pinky. No. So you'll understand when we get to speakers.
Okay. I do hope everything's okay. But man of the match anyway. Who did you have?
Anyway, I'm not going to argue with Pinky this time. Whatever he's wearing, Declan Rice, pure and simple.
Yeah.
How can you argue against that? Just streets ahead. But of course, I know the transfer window's shut and it doesn't open again till sometime in the summer. I don't know if they've already sorted out the date, but if anyone's watching this, he was rubbish again. Bayern, he was rubbish. Just leave well alone. He's terrible. There you go. But
right. So, Declan Rice for Pinky, Declan Rice for Noam. Rio, is he going to make it a 3 out of 3?
I mean, there are a few candidates for me. I thought Soufal was exemplary at times. There's obviously the way that modern fullbacks play, you're going to leave space in behind. But going forward, he caused all sorts of trouble down there, right-hand side for City. And I thought we had a great game. I thought Fornals was... He gets a lot of stick, undeservedly, in my opinion, from a lot of places. But I think today just proved that what a great player he was. And he made some absolutely superb passes. He worked his heart out. And without him, we look a worse side. I thought Kevin De Bruyne did the archetypal West Ham performance. But he delivered a world-class pass, unfortunately in the wrong area. They made him absolute error and half the other end and gave us a goal, basically. So I'd like to thank Kev for that. You're not a bad player, mate. And when you and Pep come in a couple of years' time, we welcome with open arms. But yeah, Declan Rice ain't bad, is he? Yeah. Unless you support any other one of the 91 clubs in the world, no, he's all right.
Not bad, not bad. Decent, reasonable performance, reasonable shift put in today. I mean, I feel the need to go with someone else to just try and spread the love a little bit in and around the squad. I mean, Jesse Lingard, as we pointed out a little while ago, was involved in 5 of West Ham's 9 shots in some capacity today. Has been excellent since joining the club, and another assist today. No, we never did work out whether we thought the shot was going to go in, did we? Without the intervention from Antonio.
I think it's going wide myself.
You reckon it's going wide?
Yeah. It's certainly any striker worth his salt where Antonio wasn't going to sort of watch it go by just in case.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about that. That's a given.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, Lingard, a very, very good player today, did very well. But I'm going to go today for, and I've picked him a few times in recent weeks, but we've spoken about him quite a lot. But again, today I was just watching him and the little things he was doing, sort of like stepping out of the line to make some really important interventions and break up City play. Not as involved in advanced positions as he perhaps might have been in recent weeks. But I thought, and you can't base it on the fee that they've cost the club, but it has to be pointed out that he was essentially a free transfer for us this year, and has come in and has absolutely exceeded everybody's expectations, and that's Craig Dawson. I thought he was absolutely magnificent today, and who knows, with a partner who was perhaps as proficient as he was today and has been in recent weeks, we might have been celebrating a point at City today, or who knows, even a win. Just a couple of lapses of concentration at the back. But yeah, so for me, I think, Declan Rice was incredible, but I kind of get tired of saying it every week, that he was magnificent again, because he is. He's just been brilliant every single week. So yeah, like I say, I'm going to spread the love a little bit this week and just give the nod to Craig Dawson. A couple of shouts on the live chat on YouTube. David O'Rourke going for Jesse Lingard, and foregone conclusion, I think, going for Rice, some lots of love for Declan Rice. Notwithstanding that from Pep Guardiola, who said that he and Souček were both fantastic today. So Declan Rice really sort of West Ham standout player, I think, on the afternoon. Although it was a fantastic performance by the whole team. We are going to wrap up this afternoon's broadcast with a look ahead to West Ham's next fixture. There's some tough ones coming up. Manchester United, Arsenal, Wolves, Leicester, all on the horizon. Some tough games. Chelsea a couple of weeks after that. But next week, it's Leeds United, Rio, who we come up against. We have got, as we said, a 9-day break between now and that next game on Monday, by which time we may not well be in the top 4. But having beaten Leeds up there earlier in the season, it's a real chance to put another double on the table. Leeds are a funny team. You don't really know what to expect from them, do you? One week they're magnificent, the next week defensively they're it's an absolute basket case. So I guess we have to hope that the bad Leeds turns up next week. But what are you thinking about that one, and what are you expecting from the Hammers?
I can see nothing but 3 points for us. Leeds are such a Jekyll and Hyde side. They're great going forward, but if you get at them, if you cause them a few problems at the back, they have got no idea whatsoever. Bielsa's a great manager. He's very inspirational. He's lauded around Europe. I mean, Guardiola's one of his biggest fans ever. But his sides aren't known for their defensive discipline. And 9 days rest will do our lot the world of good. So I'm just thinking nothing but a victory at there. Leeds flat to deceive. And I just think that with the form we're showing, with the heart we're showing, with the belief we're showing, the defensive resolution we have, the attacking options we've got going forward, a little bit of rest will do us a lot of good. And 3 nailed on points for us.
Okay, excellent. That's a pretty good prediction. Noam, is there any additional pressure on David Moyes and the team going into this one next week, given that we've lost today and, we need to pick up some more points to keep that challenge going?
No, there flipping shouldn't be. It's if we play our best against their best, we're going to beat them. We had the beating of them beforehand. And, as I said, we should just take that game on its own in isolation, just as we said earlier on, take each game as it comes. Sorry, I'm getting slightly distracted here because referee Lee Mason, I've got in the background, has had a complete, he's not the brightest of referees ever, but he's just had a complete mare. He's awarded Brighton a free kick, blown the whistle, they've taken it, and then he's blown the whistle again to say he wasn't ready for the free kick to be taken. So Brighton have done their nuts at him and then said, no, you did blow the whistle. So then he's awarded the goal, and now they're looking to see if there was anyone offside, so he's got an excuse to that. So that's just going on. Getting back to us, it's a case, and Lee Mason is the only person in the world doesn't know what's happening. But getting back to us, no. Take the game, we're playing Leeds. Yep. What are they like? How are you going to set up? Beat them, then see what happens the week after. No pressure. Let's face it, nobody was expecting you to be in 4th position at this time anyway. And I think Mason may have Mason's disallowed it now. Right. And nobody's got a clue what's going on. He's disallowed it, given it, disallowed it. Decision no go. Well, if you've got somebody as stupid as Mason refereeing, and somebody, I don't know who's on the other end of the screen, this is what's going to happen until you get proper referees.
If Brighton go down, by a point.
So now they're giving the free kick, they're making Brighton take the free kick again. Which suggested that the only reason he's disallowed it was that he wasn't ready. Yet he'd blown the whistle. If he blows the whistle, that indicates you're ready for the free kick. Now what's he doing?
Sheffield United's lawyers are already offering a no-win, no-fee deal.
That is just. It's been we've seen lots of dreadful refereeing, and that is without a doubt. Oh, he's now waving the whistle at Dunk. Now he blew the whistle. You can see him do it on the screen. He blows the whistle. Dunk takes the free kick. It goes in. He blows the whistle straight after the free kick's been taken to say I wasn't ready. Why did you blow the whistle in the first place? But sorry, it's just very distracting when something that stupid happens on a football pitch.
I can just sense your delight, Noam, after Michael Oliver's fairly indiscreet performance this afternoon. He didn't really put a foot wrong. And now we've got an opportunity to have a go at PGMOL. There it is. It's taken like 3 hours, but we finally got one.
Well, I thought Oliver had a patchy game. I thought he was very quick to book Johnson in the first half, less quick to book when they were going through their sort of either side of the 10-yard line blocking tactics. Foden should have gone in straight away, but anyway, the free kick was taken, if anyone's interested, and it went straight into the West Brom keeper's hands.
Happy days.
Anyway, but getting back to us, play Leeds, play the team that they put out and beat them. That's all they've got to say. Pressure? Where's the pressure there? We're having the time of our lives here.
Excellent stuff.
Yeah.
Excellent stuff. Thank you. So, Leeds, it is, Pinky. Finally, the Pink Palermo, your thoughts on next week. Leeds United, dirty Leeds, coming to East London to see if they can stop the West Ham Express in its tracks. What do you reckon?
And you know what? Hats off to Marcelo Bielsa, because he's managed to shake off that dirty Leeds tag. Because there'll always be dirty Leeds to me because of a particular manager in their history and the way that he chose to play the game. I'd say something now. If Bielsa came to West Ham United as manager, he would be adored. He would be absolutely adored because, do you know what? You know, attack. You know, never mind defending, just have a go at the opposition. Yeah. You know, if you want to get the Olympic Stadium rocking, well, you know, that might help. And that's not a criticism of what our current manager and coaching staff are doing, but it's just a reflection of what Bielsa does. Second reason I like him is from the moment he pulled young Frank's pants down over the, you know, when Frank Lampard was the manager of Derby County, and you know they've been watching us train, and then the next press conference, Bielsa gave like a presentation, you know, like a 40-slide PowerPoint presentation on we watch everybody train and we watch all of that team, our next opponent's previous 3 seasons matches, and if they've changed manager, we watch his previous club for at least a dozen games as well, you know, on videotape. And then basically Bielsa made young Frank look very naive and inexperienced. I thought that's the right response because, do you know what he was saying there was, this is serious stuff here now. You know, you don't just get to be a manager because you've been a very, very good footballer. There's a bit more to it than that. In terms of what I think we'll do against Leeds, I think we've got enough in our locker to beat them.
Yeah.
I think because they pour forward so much, I think that suits our counter-attacking style. I think the addition of Jesse Lingard since we played them first has only strengthened us. So yeah, I'm expecting a good win. And I think looking at their team, dare I say it, maybe a cheeky bid for Bamford in the summer wouldn't be the worst thing we could do. Maybe not as our first choice striker, but maybe as a second striker. And who knows, because I suspect Leeds might have stretched themselves quite severely financially. I think there's new investment going in there or something at the moment. But yeah, you know, I think hats off to Bielsa. He's done a good job at Leeds. I think if I was a neutral, and you know, there's so much TV football these days, I could say no greater thing of Leeds are one of the teams I'd like to watch as a neutral. Mm-hmm. And there are a number of clubs further up the table than Leeds at the minute, and better funded clubs that if they were on the telly, I might be watching Coronation Street. So looking forward to the game, but I think we'll come out on top.
There you go. That is it from the Etihad Stadium. It was a sterling effort from David Moyes' side. And the biggest win of the season, according to at least one Manchester City fan posting on the Blue Moon Forum. They knew they'd been in a game this afternoon, but ultimately it was with defeat that David Moyes' side emerged from Manchester in the end. Not even Limehouse Lizzie could help the Hammers as we succumb to a 2-1 defeat this afternoon. Thank you to the team for joining me as always here this afternoon, to the Pink Palermo, to Rio, and to Gnome. Thank you also, as always, to the viewers for joining us and keeping us company with your comments, which we always enjoy reading, and also reading out live on the stream. It is, of course, 9 days before we play again. That will be, as we've just said, against Leeds United down in Stratford, as the Hammers look to return to winning ways, having, as we mentioned just there, succumbed to a very, very narrow defeat. No shame for the Hammers today. No shame at all. It's been a sterling performance, just ultimately one in which we just about fell short with that late goal from John Stones. But that is it for today, as I say. And we will see you again very soon here on KUMB TV's Eyes Up Mother Brown. Until next week, until then, come on, you irons.
Come on, you irons.
Oh.